Good evening, everyone. Tonight is Tuesday, June 22nd. It's 7:33 p.m. Jeremy Ginsburg and myself, the Planning Zone Director, are in Town Hall Room 216. 213. I keep doing that. And tonight's meeting is being done via GoToMeeting, a virtual meeting as per the governor's order, which probably expires soon, right? Pretty soon. Tonight we have a public hearing and a general meeting, and after the general meeting, we have some minutes to approve, so it could go kind of quick. We do have a full agenda, and I would say tonight is the Doug DeVesta show, because he's going to be here a lot. The first item we have on the agenda, starting with office special permit application number 4, B as a boy, site plan, Piedmont Associates, Inc., Piedmont Club, at 152 Hecker Avenue. It's a proposal to install a 12-foot by 7-foot bocce court on the south side of the property and to replace existing landscaping in the buffer areas along the shared property line to the south and east. The 1.36 plus minus acre property, subject property is located on the south side of Hecker Avenue, approximately 250 feet east of its intersection with Norotan Avenue, and is shown on Assessor's Map number 42 as lot number 136 in the R1/3 zone. So once again, this is another club that's doing expansions and renovations and fixing them up.
Sure.
Chairman, what do we got?
I can give a quick update. Piedmont Club is a special permit use in a residential zone. As you can see from the plans that were submitted about 25 years ago, they put in some landscaping around the perimeter of the parking lot as required by their special permit, a 25-foot buffer. Obviously, since that time, things have become a little overgrown. And so part of this application, it's really two parts. One is to install a 12 by 70 bocce court, about 27 feet from the south property line, right adjacent to the southern part of the parking lot. And the other part of the application is to replace much of the landscaping, which was originally installed as white pines and hemlocks, which have really served their purpose and are ready for replacement. So a number of green giant ready to be installed, and those will go around the perimeter and serve as I'll call it a refresh buffer. Mr. Beatty, who's of the Piedmont Club, is here to talk to you a little bit about the application. And as part of the application, I just wanted to note that there's no change to the membership.
No digit. Please re-enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign.
Mr. Oben, just mute yourself real quick, if you could. So I'll let Mr. Beatty explain more in terms of what they're hoping to do and how they've been working closely with the adjacent neighbor to come up with an appropriate screening and landscaping plan.
Mike Beatty, welcome, sir.
Hello, how are we doing?
Fantastic, thank you. Congratulations on your new appointment.
Thank you. We want to clean up that area that adjoins the other property on Hecker and the one on Norotan Avenue. We want to start in that location. So there's a spot that I talked to Jeremy about, showed him. There's a level spot where we would actually put the court, and then we put a buffer of bushes of arborvitaes, jolly greens, around the area. And then the property between Hecker, the two properties on the Hecker side, will be the eastern side. We put more arborvitaes to blend out that house that's back there right now. We just basically, it's been overgrown. It's an eyesore, and we'd like to just clean it up in this whole project.
Okay. It's really because they're doing buffer area. That's why we're seeing this, plus the court.
Well, it was a combination of things. It's certainly when you start taking down the buffer and putting it back in, it's different than the plans. So they're going to use arborvitae, which is more appropriate. One thing I spoke to Mr. Beatty about is the nature of the bocce court, which is basically at grade with little curb type walls. Doesn't need a building permit or anything. It's something that could be built by a couple guys in less than a day. That would go in first over the summer, and then they're going to wait till the planting season, September, October, November, to get the arborvitae in. And by working with the neighbor, Mr. Chenage, to the south, they'll be able to coordinate the the plantings and make sure everything's properly spaced and field adjusted a little bit. And so that's one advantage, is the neighbors also working in that area and they can coordinate the work.
And then, Mike, the use of the bocce court's mostly going to be just during the daylight hours?
Most of the time, we're not putting lights on it or anything like that. So basically on weekends, special occasions, and maybe early evening in the summertime.
Fantastic. And I see in the plans, it's about 15 arborvitaes. Is that probably proper?
That's gonna be a minimum. We're gonna see what it looks like when we take the pines down and the rotten hemlocks down. And if we need to add more, we will.
Okay, to me. And most clubs such as yourself that I know of that have an Italian membership do have bocce courts. So hopefully we get this thing, see if it works out. Do any commissioners have any questions on this application? Kara's saying no, George Riley's saying no, and where is Mary Warble saying no? Okay, open up to the public.
Yes.
Would anybody in the public like to speak to this application? If you would like to, raise your hand, turn on your light. Let's go with Ramad. I can't pronounce your name, sir. Vitri. Please go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Rama Vituri, just for the record. And my property is like east of the Piedmont. My address is 156 Hacker Avenue. And I recently received this letter, so like a few days back. And I have my own concerns having this, because as a neighbor, right, like this is like people would come and go, but we stay here 24/7. So we are the people dealing with the issues with it. So the point is that I just want to understand one basic thing, that like I understand that this is, we all know that this is a residential property. We all have like teenage girls and we have like kids, younger kids here. So with the current state of the property itself, we see that like there is a lot of like strangers coming in, throwing the bottles, and some people, see my bedroom is like 20 or 30 feet from the property line. I see that like people would come at like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the night, they open the car doors and they just start playing the music. And they turn on the lights and all that stuff, they create all that. So adding more to it, I'm just little worried that like what kind of where are we getting into? I understand that like this property is like it's a non-profit organization, but like having this this kind of additional things would attract more people, and it would create more nuisance. People would come, and it's like this, right? You go enjoy for a couple of hours in different property, you come back home and you sleep nice in your bedroom. But this is like we stay here. So we just wanted to understand like more into this, and if there is any opportunity, I would like to I'm against this. Because there are looking at the online information, right? It doesn't talk about anything else. Even the legal notices that were just sent, it doesn't talk about how are they going to accommodate the neighbors, right? How are they going to accommodate the neighbors and what else would be done? And like example, right? If somebody by mistake, I've seen like my friends coming into my house, and by mistake, if they might miss my house in 20 feet, they take right to Piedmont. It is that close. We have seen people actually sometimes people going to Piedmont, they take a turn into my house and they just take and they go back. My son would be playing outside. So we are that close and there is no gate or anything. The strangers would come 24/7. So I just wanted to understand if you're going with the projects, like in the sense, what kind of a support system we have so that we can live here.
First of all, if you've been inconvenienced, I'm sorry. It's the first I'm hearing of it. I've been president there well through COVID and everything, and I didn't know there was ever an issue. I just took over the presidency back in 2020. So I have to apologize if you've been disturbed, but this is the first I'm hearing of it. I will talk to the bartenders, I will talk to the night staff, and I'll just make sure to keep the noise to a minimum, especially at that time. Usually the bar.
Mike, can I just interject? My name's Joel Vanovich. I'm the neighbor on
One second, Joel. Hold on 1 second, sir. I'll acknowledge you in a minute. Sorry, Mike.
So, no, go ahead.
What Mr. Virtieri, what that comes down to is 100% correct. It's an enforcement issue. You can always report enforcement issues such as that to town hall and to the planning and zoning office. I live next door to a swim club also, and the swim club, it closes, and I think in our neighborhood at like 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, something like that. And if people do go down there, it ends up being an enforcement issue. Any neighbor can notify town hall, and then the manager of the club, and the manager of the club will pretty much do an enforcement issue. You can also notify the police department. At the club that's at my house, they had gates on it to close off the parking lot at night, but I think it came down to the fire department wanted the gates to be open so you could get in there for fire code in case something happened. That's 100% enforcement issue. What we're looking at today, and I'm glad you brought it up because it is a special permit item, but what we're looking at today is what they want to do is redo the landscaping and the buffer zone and then install this bocce court. So it's really got to do with use, but with regards to your question, what happens is if the club ends up being in violation of their special permit because something happens, then town hall, the planning zone department will send a notice to the president of the club or the manager of the club, which is Mr. V that you see here. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Can I add, sir? Can I add? Like at least 3 times, my mailbox was taken down. It was on the floor, and I see a lot of glass pieces. I don't know if the people who are driving on the road, they throw the glass pieces, or like the people coming to the club or some other place. But in the end, when I step out of my house, I see all the glass pieces. And I don't drink, I don't smoke. I'm a perfect vegan by religion. I follow all that. And in the morning, I have to clean all the glass pieces in the morning because I have to take my son to get into the bus. So that is the state today. And also I did call cops at least 3-4 times with this issue, and I see 0 response. And all that they say that there would be cops sitting there for some time. Sitting a car for 15 minutes, it doesn't change like 23 hours and 45 minutes. What's happening? It doesn't stop somebody coming at 12 o'clock in the night and doing all that stuff. And as we speak, I see some construction vans as being parked close to my house. And I don't know if there is any construction or relation to the PDMON that's happening, but I see that there's a white truck 24/7 sitting there. So I totally understand where they're getting into. They just want to install that. It would attract more people. Today, only 10 people are coming. Tomorrow, 40 people would be coming, 50 people would be coming. Instead of going there, if they just jump the property line, that's where my property line is. And I did call, like a tree fell onto my fence and it broke the fence. And I did call Mike, and he came and he saw. He said like the tree could be our tree or other person tree. I think the Peter's tree or their tree. And after that, there was no resolution. Still the fence is broken. And the people can straight away walk into my property, sir. So if some stranger comes into it, like what kind of guarantee I have? It's easy to say that like we close everything at 8 o'clock. Do I need to become a policeman sitting there saying that like, are they stopping at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock? As we speak today, I see that the tents are being installed there. Do they have permit inside the 4 walls to serve the drinks or outside? I see that 24/7, there's a permanent tent. It's not a small tent. It occupies like 6 or 7 parking spaces. And I see people are sitting there playing the music and drinking. And my neighbor, Joel, he stays like 30, 40 feet from there. And he has four kids. And I have 2 kids. And I always stop my kids not to go there. Because as I said, I'm a religious person. I don't drink or smoke. Drinking also it's a kind of a crime. It's a kind of a sin in my religion. And I go clean all that stuff in the morning. So if we allow this and there is no gate, the way you said next to your property, there is a gate. There is no gate here. And if somebody comes at 12 o'clock and if he jumps into property, can you tell me what kind of safety I'll have?
I can't tell you about what safety you're gonna have. No, I can't. But all I can do is just enforce the special permit, right?
Hey, Steve, which I'm sorry, Mr. Vittori, which house is yours? Can someone help me? Is that 136?
Yeah, Jennifer, it's 156. The way I understand it's like my property used to be part of PDMON, but in year 2000, they actually took a special permit and they built my house and they sold it to our owner.
Yeah, it's lot number, it's the one, if you're looking at the site plan, it's the one to the left, I
To
think.
the west.
It's a west.
Got it. Okay, just making sure.
Okay. We'll take it into advisement and we're gonna work with the Piedmont Club and enforcement on that one. Okay, sir?
Okay.
The next person I think wants to speak was Joe Vanowich, is that correct? Welcome, sir. Just take your name and address for the record.
Sure thing. My name's Joel Vanovich. My address is 118 Hecker Avenue. I'm to the east side of the Piedmont Club. So just, I'd like to piggyback a little bit on some of the observations, and just, I think we need to delineate between the landscaping, which I don't think anyone's going to have an issue with. I think everyone will be in 100% agreement that the landscaping needs cleaning up. I think the issue that needs to be raised and understand how we can kind of control the people entering and coming and going from the Piedmont is the extension and the addition of the bocce court. I think as a community, it's great. Love to have a bocce court. That would be great for the whole community and the whole area. But my concern is really over the course of COVID, I actually think, Mike, to your point, I think that we have, as neighbors, realized the fact that everyone needs to be outside. Pre-COVID, everyone was inside the club. Post-COVID, now everyone appears to be outside the club and into the parking lot. So with the addition of the bocce court, I think the concern is the extension of being outside, drinking outside, being at the bocce court and drinking and gathering outside is going to lead to having just additional people there, which, that's obviously what the idea is behind it. So I guess the real concern from my perspective is how do we control that? There is no gates on the Piedmont Club. Anyone can come and go as they please into the Piedmont Club parking lot where the bocce court, the tent, the chairs, etc. all are. So that is really my main interest, is how is the organization going to control comings and goings to ensure that either it's just the Piedmont Club members that are using and accessing that bocce court? Because if we have the general public entering and drinking in that space, there is no controls, there are no limits, there are no times and deadlines that can be set unless we continue to call the police as we have done historically.
Hey, go ahead, try to answer that one.
I know of no reports of going to the police to the Piedmont Club since I've been a president there. And that's, like I said, that started in 2020. I have never gotten a complaint from the police department or from the neighbors. So I don't know where these are coming from. I talked to the neighbor at 156 for the tree that fell on his fence. It wasn't our tree. So I don't know where you want to go with that. I mean, I'm getting blamed for stuff I don't know anything about. So some of this stuff is the first time I'm hearing of it. So I really can't. I could give you my cell phone numbers. When you have a problem, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to do that. But I'm here to keep everybody happy. And I have never heard of some of these complaints. The only one I heard about was the tree limb falling and breaking the fence, but that wasn't our tree. So, but other than that, nobody's ever walked over, approached me, wrote me a letter, tried calling me, or complained to any of the bartenders to say, I want to talk to the manager. Nobody's ever said that. I'd be more than happy to work with all the neighbors. If there's an issue, please let me know. The bars usually close during the week by 9 o'clock. The biggest night is Friday night. We're closed on the weekend. We have events on the weekend. We'll have either a party or a catering event or something like that, a funeral. But usually on the weekends it's pretty quiet. Friday nights, we have our Friday night dinner once a month. We have a cigar night outside. I mean, I've never really heard of any complaints. And if I missed something, I'm sorry. But, during COVID, yeah, people are enjoying the outside more. I agree with that. Better times for everybody. We're not stuck inside. We're trying to get out. We're trying to make everybody happy. But if I don't know there's something wrong, I can't fix it. So if I have to tell the bartenders to close a little earlier or after 10 o'clock, bring everybody inside or whatever it is, but if I don't know what's wrong, I can't fix it.
Can I interject? So I agree, Mike, and I appreciate it. And I'm really trying to, I would agree with your assertions. I think we had a very good relationship with Nick prior, and I would have direct conversations with Nick prior to you taking over the presidency. So unfortunately, Mike, I don't know you, and that's on me as much as it is you. I think, as you alluded to, during COVID, everyone knew it was a difficult situation. Like, I would talk to Nick about certain situations prior, and he would try and work things out. So it wasn't necessary for us to go and call the police on certain situations. I think the main point that I would just like to hear about again is the fact that during COVID, the bar moved, or the club moved, from an inside venue to an outside venue. With the addition of the bocce court, it's only going to exacerbate the outside nature of the club, leading to there being more people in the parking lot drinking. And when you have 3 sets of families all the way around that parking lot with small young children, like listening to whatever's going to go on, seeing the drinking, etc., that is the concern that I have, is just that extension of the bar to the outside environment.
Okay.
It's again, thank you, sir, for your comments. I appreciate that. It comes down to, you know, town hall, what's going on, and enforcement issue, and it's partly on us also. So, for the way we look at the application, is it going to be, you know, a significant increase in traffic or a significant increase in membership or the makeup of the club with the addition of, you know, a bocce court? That's what it comes down to. They're not building a pavilion around it. It doesn't look like there's any furniture that's going to be around it. I think it's just there. And, you know, clubs in town are allowed to put up, 1 second, carry up. Clubs in town are allowed to put up tents in their parking lots at times to do outside events. And that's part of what we did relative to COVID. Go ahead, Kara.
I think you kind of just hit on my question or sort of comment, which was, I didn't want to assume, but I was sort of thinking that the extension of the outdoor, where the bar had been indoors, was that the Piedmont, Jeremy, were they approved like others in town, Ernie's, Rory's, Bodega, you know, there's a countless businesses and clubs that were approved pursuant to the governor's executive orders, that on tents and outdoor seating and using parking lots for this kind of activity. Do we refresh my memory? How long did we anticipate the approval going till December? Is that what we?
The difference between this is a special permit club, so to speak. So yes,
One of the tents for that they were granted approval for the outside eating and drinking.
Yeah, no, I don't think they didn't have to apply for a tent for the outside eating and drinking, same as like Middlesex did not have to apply for, or the other ones. So it doesn't fall in the same bucket as a Bodega or as a Giovanni's.
Okay, so that was not related to the COVID orders. That was because they're a private club and they can do it regardless all the time, 24, like.
Well,
No.
I'll have to check. I'll have to check their prior.
And take a look and see what was in there in terms of, and I'll go through it with Mike, certainly in terms of limits and restrictions that the club might have.
And I guess then, Mike, in terms of like what we have to consider and sort of the factors that we have to consider on a special permit approval, is the bocce court sort of something that current members are asking for and kind of want to have some recreational, you know, not heavy duty, you know, sports, but like, you know, a nice, fun recreational activity at the club? Or is this sort of contemplated to increase membership?
I don't think the putting the bocce court in is going to make the membership at the Piedmont grow. It's just there to keep the members happy.
Got it.
They asked for it. I talked to Jeremy. Is there a way we could put it in? So we're just trying to do it. I mean, we could go in the front lawn and just play lawn bocce.
No, exactly. So this was driven by current member request, not as some sort of,
No, this is current member request. I mean, we could actually go play lawn bocce in the front on the Hecker Avenue side.
right,
I
okay,
mean, they want to put a court in, and there's other social clubs in town that have them.
right.
And we're just asking permission to do it.
No, that just helps me with the analysis on whether it will intensify the use or lead to significantly more traffic. And to me, if it was driven by current member requests, then that kind of,
We're just trying to get our members to come back down and give them something to do.
thank you.
Great. Sir, up top, Mr. Tanaj, you're recognized. Please turn your microphone on. There you go. Welcome.
I live in 84 Norton and the south side of the property. Are they grading for the court, the bocce court? Grading, what's the drainage solution of the grading? What else do we think of building it? Existing drainage of the parking lot, is it connected to the sewer, or it just ran through under my property, dumps, the water goes into my neighbor's property? Or is it connected to sewer? They got about 2 drains in the end of the property. And where is that connected to? Car headlights. Without building the court, my kids often complain that their eyes are hurting when the car headlights directly shines on their eyes. And I am concerned that the car headlights will damage my kids' eyes because they are so strong and frequently it happens a lot. The car headlights often interrupt our dinner and outdoor activities, which I do have photos and videos. What will be installed if anything happens between my property, south side, of the line to bocce court plans? It's not clear on the drawings on the plans. You got some trees, but it's not clear what's going to be in between there. Are you going to put seats? Are you going to put projectors? Is it lighting? It's not clear in the plans. What will be, when will the new trees be planted? I am assuming of the existing trees, the length of the bocce court, the 70 foot, they're going to be cut down because they are right in the middle. Will be exposed? Will I be exposed for any more period of time, causing more problems with car headlights and outdoor activities? Or will the new trees be planted, or will be fenced, be installed immediately after existing trees are cut? Who will maintain the trees? Who will assure me that the trees, you're going to plant the trees and you're going to maintain them? They're not going to die in 6 months or in 2 months. Rules put into place, once you have these rules and regulations put into place, if they're not followed, is the consequences, is the club going to be shut down, get violation, or just, they do whatever? Drinking, it's bothering us a lot in that side. It's outdoor activities, I got 50 cars, full lot. I heard you saying before, not occasionally. It's 3 or 4 times a week. It's not occasionally. Occasionally, I call them 4 times a year. It's 3 or 4 times a week. It's not Fridays. It's Thursdays. It's Wednesdays. It's Fridays. Saturdays. Nonstop. That's all I have.
Good.
For the record, Mr. Tanaj, I think you're at 84 Norotan Avenue, directly to the south of the property, correct?
Yes.
Right, you're the property. If the commission members have been out there, you're working on renovating that house that's there. To the south.
In the house, I cut down some trees on my property because there were like a jungle there, and I want my 3 kids to get some sun. I couldn't live in the jungle. I had to open it up.
That's okay. You're allowed to.
I know.
You're allowed
I
to.
know.
I can see it on the aerial. Okay, the answer to part of your question is, I don't know the phasing on when the existing brush is gonna be taken out, but we do know that the new trees are gonna be put in the fall and planting season. Along that property line, the plan that we have in place shows 7 trees going on the south side of the property, on the south side of the bocce court. Mr. Vitti, the applicant, said that that's a minimum of 15 trees total. So it's a minimum of 7 trees on
What's
your
the
side.
height?
When
The
they're
height of the
planted,
tree.
I'm not sure. Do you have an idea what height might be now when you're planted?
We're gonna start off with 6 to 8 footers. All
Okay.
depending, when we talked last time, you said you're gonna put the fence up in the back and then put a row of hedges.
Did I
Yes.
talk to you?
Yeah,
What?
I stopped and saw you when you were cleaning out the stumps. We talked.
Right.
Excuse me?
Yeah, you stopped.
Yeah,
Yes,
so we
you-
talked about that.
Mhm.
I explained that to Mr. Jeremy Ginsburg, that you were doing that. And I said, we were gonna make it so you were at a lower level. We were gonna put them up on a higher bank to block, make a bigger shield, to make a bigger buffer between the parking lot and your house.
Mhm.
But until I see what you put there, I don't know how much I'm gonna need until I see how much pine you're putting up.
You have talked to me week after I bought the house. Now that I started living there with the kids, as I told you, I have 3 babies, kids, and the headlights are really killing them. They having a heart problem, vision. They hurting their eyes. I'm assuming everybody has kids. So you know how difficult that is to deal with. And you said occasionally, and I don't know if you're allowed to have serving alcohol outside or not. I don't know what's the rules and regulation there, but you are 3 to 4 times full lot a week. Do you want videos? Do you want photos?
I'm not arguing with you. Nobody's
Lots of
arguing with you.
person,
But this is the
lots
first
of
I'm hearing of it.
they park in the shade over there. They just hang out for 3-4 hours, bust the radio, throw trash, throw beers, dump mulch, go in the lot, go on the end of the parking lot to the right. You got all that mulch in there, sitting there. Tree mulch. You got all that in there. The sewer, is it connected? Where is it connected, that drainage? Because it runs under my property. I think, I don't know, what's the regulation of I'm worried about the drainage as well. I have a bigger issues on that side.
The drainage should be significant. If I can answer one of your questions, the drainage is not gonna be significant because you're putting stone dust and pervious surface on a pervious surface item already. The only,
Existing.
3/4 inch crushed stone with item 4 on top, yes. So it's gonna absorb through. We're not changing where we laid out with Jeremy, the trees that are coming down, it's 1 level section up on top. So that's gonna be complete. So we're really not trying to disturb anything else. And we're trying to clean the whole area out. So we have to take out stumps. The pines are dying, the hemlocks are dead. So we're trying to improve it. There's no doubt about it. So,
okay.
How about the headlights of the car? How can it get protected?
That's where the trees come in.
You got 50 cars shining on my eyes at the same time. You got 20 cars shining on my eyes.
The YMCA is the same exact issue.
Look,
It's the
photos.
issue.
I don't know how clear they are.
I got it.
Look at it.
That's fine. I fully understand. I fully understand. You could actually submit those to the town hall for the record. We'll put it
I
in there.
understand. I'm sort of asking for some kind of protection.
That's what the greening of the buffer is. That's what the trees and the buffer is.
I don't think that would be enough, to be honest. If you follow up with double trees or a fence, be mine. But putting, like $1,000 trees in there, I don't think it's gonna be, like 6 to 8 feet, you go 6 feet of trees, I don't think they, how far apart are they gonna be?
Now, the trees are gonna cover about 80 feet in length, and the height of the trees are 6 to 8 feet tall.
6 to 8 feet, meaning he is allowed to put 6-footer, not 8-footers, because 8-footer is gonna cost more. I wanna know 8 to 10, why don't put 8 to 10, but you put 6 to 8?
It's the height. You worry about the lights. The lights are only.
The height. But they
The
should
lights
put
are
8 to 10,
pretty
no 6 to 8. If
The
you wanna
lights
allow
are-
them, why don't tell them to put 8 to 10 foot of a tree tall, not 6 to 8. 6 feet, I'm 6'2", so I can look, easily can go over that tree.
The headlights are about 4 feet off the ground. So if you have that's 12 feet tall, the upper 4 feet don't stop the headlight.
Okay.
You're worried about the low part. We did the same thing along, was it Mansfield Avenue or up Hollow Tree Ridge Road for all those houses where they put in Highland Farm and also where the other ones are. So it's an issue that we've dealt with a lot of times and we monitor it all the time, sir.
I think it should be 8 foot fence. And it should be minimum 8 foot of the tall trees, double trees.
Okay. Larry Warble, you have something to answer?
No.
Sorry?
No, just ask another commissioner if he wanted to add something because he took his microphone off. Okay. Understood. So anything else? You all set. Jennifer Leahy, your mic's on? You're all set. Mr. Orban, is that correct? Yes, sir. Go ahead. Turn your microphone on.
Yes, hello. My name is Rolf Oben. I'm at 9 Archer Lane. My property is to the east of Mr. Tenage and corners on the southeast corner of the Piedmont Club.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on the landscaping. I'm assuming that the Planning and Zoning Commission is going to listen to the feedback and respond to the extent that they can on the landscaping portion of this. My concern is that, we're in a residential zoned area and a number of residents have spoken up this evening. And so I consider the Piedmont Club to be part of the residential makeup of this area. And so I think a number of people have already expressed themselves about, the behavior of what's being demonstrated at the Piedmont Club. My concern with the bocce court is that, it should be a relatively gentleman's type of game. It should be a quiet kind of game. However, I assume there will be teams and there will be some sort of competition, and competition always brings some sort of gamesmanship, if you will, which could get a little loud. So I'm concerned about that. And I'm also concerned about the frequency and the time of day when the bocce games would be played. Some of the earlier people have spoken about significant turnout at the club during 3-4 times or nights a week. Mike mentioned earlier that most of the games would be during the day, but also possibly at night without lights. So I don't see how that's going to work. I would assume that come sundown that the games would be terminated, if nothing else, for lack of light. So I don't really see it being feasible to have night games into the darkness of night. So my concern is overall a matter of just the behavior of the membership of the club, that they have to be respectful, to the surrounding neighbors, and that they have to clean up after themselves, particularly if they're having a tournament situation, and be responsible to the community and be a part of the community and the residents. And that's about all I have to say. And I appreciate the fact that, we can call in, file a complaint, which if I need to, I will, and that's done through the planning and zoning office. Did I understand that correctly?
You can do it through P and Z, yes.
Okay, and also if necessary, I will employ the police department as well. My question is, should the behavior continue that is disruptive, what are the consequences, if any, other than we filed a complaint?
What happens is if they're in violation of a special permit, it puts the special permit in jeopardy.
All right, I have nothing further to add. I'll sign off with that.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody else in the general public like to speak to this application? 1 second, Kara. You see anybody in the chat box?
No.
Okay. Go ahead, Kara.
Just my last question, or actually maybe, is there, I didn't see it in my packet, and so if it's here, I apologize. Do we, Jeremy, can we get the current special permit just to see, you know, what is currently permitted? How late I know you spoke that you're not open on the weekends, and I just didn't, Mike, how late is the club open? I know it's not open on weekends except maybe by special event, but normal hours?
Our normal hours, they usually start, we open up around 4:30. Last night, I can show you, on Monday night's our slowest night, depending if, I mean, our club is used by multiple town organizations. The Darien Police Department uses for their union meeting.
Yeah,
The Area
DJFL.
Boat Club uses it for their monthly meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, the Darien Lions Club used to use it. I go down the list of how many organizations have used this club. It's like the free DCA house. I mean, we don't charge for our usage of the clubs. We get donations. Like I said, some of the stuff I'm hearing tonight, I never heard of before. If there's, like I said, if there's issues I can't address until I know them. So, our worst night is usually Friday night, is our latest night. And that goes to usually 12, 1 o'clock. But usually the bartender's closed up, usually gives last call around midnight and then shuffles everybody out. So if we have to address that, we will. I'll address the noise in the parking lot, which I will tell the people, you know, have their conversations inside, not in the parking lot at the end of the night. Other than that, I mean, I'll have to police it. I mean, there's usually about anywhere from 1 to 3 state troopers parked there in the course of a night. I mean, you go in there during the day, anytime at night, you can always find 1 to 2 state troopers parked in the rear corner. That would be the southeast. Yeah, it would be the south corner. There's usually 1 to 2 state troopers parked there. I mean, Darien Police Departments, they set up, they're usually on the top. I mean, so there's usually a heavy police presence. So this is why I'm shocked to hear some of this stuff, some of these activities. So
if you give permission, can I?
Okay, you're good, Mike?
Excuse me?
Kara, for the record, we put the special permit, the existing special permit in the record for this file. So you'll get it next packet.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, sir. Would you like to add something?
Yeah. So I see that like from last 30 or 40-minute conversation, right? We have been telling like these are all the issues we have and all. So from my side, I've called police at least 3-4 times because people are like, as I said, right? They trash my like I have to spend $50 to put the mailbox again. So I've called at least 3-4 times the police, and I spoke with them, and I don't know. Yeah, because I didn't want to talk to the neighbor directly because I don't want to, you understand, right? It's not a pleasant situation to deal with. So I called the police and they said that they'll send somebody sitting there. But at this moment of time, I can take this laptop out and I can show you the camera. Can you show me police sitting there? I see that, as I said earlier, 15 minutes and 20 minutes or 30 minutes, the police sitting there does not stop a guy coming in the midnight. And even now, all the issues that we raised, other than the trees that we're talking about, nothing else was promised. Example, right? Putting a gate. Or how are we going to make sure that the people does not show up in the midnight, because this is a private club. I know, instead of like one person accessing it, only the members should access it. What happens if a non-member access it? And there are like some trucks sitting there in the midnight. What is because that may not be relevant to this discussion, but if a thief or if a person with a gun sits there until the night and jumps out of the car and comes into my property, where is the guarantee? And at this moment of time, my side of the property is like a jungle. Nothing, even a single leaf was not taken out. Single leaf was not taken out of it. And I see that so many insects and so many things, they come from that fence into my side. Now the fence is broken. So if you want, you understand, right? All the issues that we have been describing, what is other than the 8 trees or 6 trees that we spoke about, and anything that I raised, 20 things that I raised, any one thing you tell me that was discussed? You tell me any one thing that gives me confidence that yes, we can go with it. What kind of confidence I have like raising my teenage daughter here?
We're looking at it at a special permit application and an changement to the special permit for a site plan review. Okay, the work is being done on the other side of the house. The only thing that the Planning and Zoning Commission can do is make sure the enforcement of the hours of the club are there. I've viewed applications for multiple clubs in town, the YMCA, VFWs, libraries. Everybody's got open parking lots. We can just enforce what we can enforce.
I totally understand, sir. Sorry. See, the point is, like, I live here, and if something happens to me, and if something happens to my family, I'm the person. If something is done in the YMCA, I'm not a person. I don't. You understand? As a responsible citizen of this country, I can do so much. But at this moment of time, a tree fell on our fence. The way we departed is that let me check and come back if tree belongs to me or not. After that, no response. And I had to employ somebody to clear the tree. And I didn't clear the fence yet. The fence is still broken. So the point is like it will look green on the paper saying that I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, but I don't see even a green on my side. What's going to happen? On that side only, they said they're going to plant the trees, but on my side, what's going to happen? And how am I protecting my children? If somebody is like, there is no gate or anything, people are coming 24/7. If cop sits there for 15 minutes and after cop leaves and the people are so intelligent, right? They're intelligent than anybody else. And they don't come when the cops are there. They show up when the cops are not there. The point I'm trying to make is that like, what kind of confidence they are building in the neighbors, saying that like, yes, you raised 1, 2, 3, 4 issues. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 so that I'm going to go with this project. That's what I'm trying to ask.
Thank you. We will try to address them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Would anybody else like to speak to this application?
I just have a,
Go ahead, Jen.
sorry, I think my connection's really bad. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Yes, okay.
Yes.
Mr. Vitti, I just wanted the state troopers, just to be clear, they're not there because they're members of the club, right?
No, they sit there and they park there most of the night. You can find them either behind the Piedmont or you find it behind the Rowan Heights Fire Department, depending on
Right,
time
and
of
why,
night. So
right, and why they
they're not called to us. No, they're
Okay.
just sitting there. So
and they're there because of proximity to 95, right?
I-95, correct.
So I just, because I feel, and I think, I hear everyone and their points. We also have to be cognizant of, there's some of, the mailboxes, there's people coming in and off the highway, right? As someone who, I've lived near a highway before, you happen to have riffraff and stuff that comes because you live in proximity of the highway. So I think, that just needs to be taken into consideration, that we are next to the highway. That's why there's troopers there. That's why there's police officers there, not because they're 50% of
Okay. Thanks, Jen.
more Italian and join the Piedmont Club, but because they're doing their job.
Cool. Any other comments from commissioners? Yes, sir. Mr. Tajay? Naj?
I'm concerned about noise. That's why I bought the house there to have a peace of mind, live in peace. I'm very concerned about the noise. The police are there entertaining themselves, but 15 minutes a day go.
We will look at it and review the special. Yeah.
Very bothering us. Drinking outdoor, you're drinking to next to the 4 years old kids. How far away from the building you're taking care of the drinks? How far, are you, right in borderline? People walk right on the borderline with a beer, and I have 4 years, 8 years, 3 years old next to them. I mean, even though if you're allowed to do that, I don't think it's fair.
Understood. Okay.
It's out of control to think. If I got people in the middle of the day, they come eat 12 beers because it's shady there. They cut trees, commercial vehicles. It's open parking, but if you park, you should control it. If somebody comes to my neighbor and throw stuff at my neighbor's property, I'm responsible. I feel like I'm responsible because I should have control of my own property. That's something that you have to look into.
Thank you. Okay. With that said, there's somebody that's going to call. Would anybody else that's not spoken would like to speak to this application? Mike, you all set for now?
Yes.
With that said, I'd entertain a motion to close the hearing. George Riley makes a motion, Karen makes a second. All's in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hearing's
Great.
closed. The commission will deliberate at an upcoming meeting.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mike. Thank you, everybody, for your.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Agenda. This. Not me, right? Next time, so, site plan review number 350, floodstone prevention application number 409, land filling and regrading application number 506, Graham and Jennifer Foster at 10 Pratt Island. Proposal to raise the existing residence and construct a new single-family residence, generally in the same location. Construction of a new driveway and parking area, pool, spa, patio, and installation of stormwater management, and to perform related site development activities within regulated areas. The 0.92 plus or minus acre subject property is located on the east side of Pratt Island, 1,150 feet south of its intersection of Nearwater Lane and Baywater Drive, and is shown on assessor map number 55 as lot number 1, 2, 3 in the R1 zone. Jeremy, what do we got?
Sure, this is an existing residence that has been posted for demolition, and the proposal tonight is to construct a new residence which will comply with all the flood regulations. The new residence will be in generally the same location, and the new residence will be tied into the public water and sewer, which the existing resident is not. We did refer this because it's on the coast to the state of Connecticut DEP. They sent an email dated June 18th. The summary of that email is based upon their review. They have no comments to add for the commission's consideration. We also referred it out to Public Works. Darren Oustefine sent an email dated June 15th. I know Mr. Maslin's here and professional engineer Doug DeVesta are here, and he'll speak to that issue. So I'll let Mr. Maslin take it away. I believe he has a PowerPoint, and I can defer the presentation screen to him if he wishes.
Please.
Hey, welcome, Mr. Maslin.
Thank you. Jeremy, can you, I don't know what you have to do.
How's that look?
You said it's got it.
All right, you should, no. Okay. Your screen should show the cover slide or the opening slide to our PowerPoint. Does that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you did. Perfect.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Maslin. I'm the attorney for the Graham and Jennifer Foster, who recently purchased the property at 10 Pratt Island. The other people on the team are Dan Conlon, the architect, Doug DeVesta, civil engineer, Kate Throckmorton, who I think is still here, landscape architect from Environmental Land Solutions. And we have prepared the PowerPoint that includes pretty much all of the display material that's in our application packet, the surveys, the site plans. I have a whole photo tour here. I just have to figure out how to make this thing go from one. Oh, here we go. Jeremy wanted me to stick to 10 minutes, so I'll try to do that. I might go to 15. And what I thought I would do, Mr. Chairman, is I will run through the relevant parts of the PowerPoint and then have the team members available if questions come up about their particular aspects, if that's okay, and then hopefully we'll finish up quickly. The overview of the project, as pretty much Jeremy said, demolish an existing single-family residence which doesn't conform with the flood regulations. It's an old house, and build a new single-family residence with an in-ground pool terrace, some minor landscape features, a new stormwater quality system that Doug has designed, a new lateral sanitary sewer connection, and we're requesting a waiver of the Fresh Meadow-based stormwater management system under Section 888. The coastal management features compliance with the flood zone for the house and the pool. All of the mechanicals will be above the base flood elevation. The sanitary sewer connection is a big environmental plus. The new stormwater quality system is a big environmental plus as well. The site's completely developed now, and Kate has designed a decent landscape plan along the tidal wetland area that's shown. To give you an overview, Trout Island is here on, actually, I think this is Nash Island, but this particular property is called 10 Pratt Island. So I don't know, it's kind of flip-flopped over the years. Over on the right side of this aerial is the western shoreline of Long Neck Point, and Pear Tree Point Beach is up here at the top. Close-up of the site, as I mentioned, you can see it's all pretty much fully developed. It's pretty flat. This area along the left here is trees and a kind of a rocky landscaped area, which for the most part will remain. There's a rocky shoreline. This section over here has some sand in it, which you'll see. This area up toward the left, upper left corner of the photograph is a tidal wetland area that has its boundary roughly along the, I guess this is the north or northwest boundary of the subject property. We have photographs. If you've been to the site, this is how you see it as you drive in the driveway. This is a view of the front. This is the edge of the tidal wetland area, and it extends all the way in the back. You can see a couple of buildings off in the distance here. This is still owned by members of the Nash family under whatever their entity is. And then we come to the side lot here. There's an existing black fence right out to the water. And we kind of go around in a circle. This is the seawall, Long Neck Point, again over here to the left. A little bit hazy, but on a good day, you can see Long Island Sound. This is a view of the back of the house, looking from the seawall. And as we come around, you see the rocky shorefront. This is looking back in the direction we were just in. And this is generally looking east, kind of north as well. A little sand over here. This is number 11, Pratt Island. And again, there's a matching fence on the western or southwestern boundary. This is the rock area with the trees and other plantings that I mentioned before. There's a kind of a flagstone patio along the back of the existing house. Rock outcropping or ledge outcropping, looking from inside the property out toward the water. Zoning location surveys are all consistent. The proposed location survey shows pretty much the same general driveway configuration. The house is bigger, but mostly in the same location. There's a garage over toward the northeast or off the northeast end of the main house. In-ground pool here with a pool terrace around it. I would note that when we get to the site plan, there are 2 flood zones on the property. This broken line is the boundary between flood zone VE, which is on the water side at elevation 15, and AE on the upland side of it with a base flood elevation of 14. All of the surface and above surface activities will be outside this VE boundary. It then includes the house, the steps leading up to the back of the house or the part of the house that faces the water, the in-ground pool, the pool terrace. These little rows here and along here are the subsurface infiltrators or Cultex, I guess, for the stormwater management. I'm sorry, stormwater quality system. Test hole data is over on the left-hand side. This is a colored version of the same site plan that's in our application material. Details, I don't think you want to see. These are perspectives. They're in the application. And I have elevations here. What I would note, though, is if you look over here, this is an elevation that faces number 11, Pratt Island. And right here is a platform with the HVAC units. And you'll see on the next slide that as a result of discussions with the Rileys who live at number 11, this little fence or sort of thing was put in its place or in between there to kind of shield the HVAC units from view. The other elevations, the total height is under 30 feet, even with the first floor up at 15. And I don't think you want to see the floor plans all that much, but I do have the landscape plan here shows existing landscaping along the left side here, the new plantings along the tidal wetland area to the north, and you have a row of replanted vegetation along the black fence that's out along this area here. And what I would just note is we did not put pool fencing in the site plan per se. However, the idea is to run a fence from this corner of the garage over to the black fence here and have a similar fence over on this side, and that would fully enclose the house and the backyard area, which would comply with the building code. And that would be adjusted as necessary to satisfy Peter or whoever is the building inspector. Agency comments, as Jeremy mentioned, no comments from DEP after their review under the coastal management policies. Darren Ostafine at DPW wrote a typical DPW email. Most of the points in his email described the project, but he did make some substantive comments which are supportive. He mentions new sewer connection permit required, that's obvious. Water quality system, he agrees that the test holes show adequate soils for this purpose. The stormwater management plan, Darren supports the Section 888 waiver of the fresh meadow approach. And stormwater management form, which is a fairly recent thing that Darren has mentioned on these shoreline applications. Doug DeVesta submitted a completed form. I believe it's in this record as well as to DPW. I think he copied Jeremy on it. And then Darren always asks for an as-built survey, which of course is already mentioned in the plans. Health Department, the only comment was property to be served by public water and sewers. And that would, is it for the presentation. If I can just go back and mention one thing, I think the best thing would be either here. Now, I'll use this one. There are 2 letters of support from neighbors, one from the Rileys, or at least the Riley that owns this property at number 11, and the McLaughlins, who are the owners of this property over toward the, I guess, northwest of this, where the driveway actually turns that right as you come in from Nearwater. The Nash family has about maybe not 50 members, but there are quite a few that are members of the entity, and there's no one of them that is in a position to sign any documents, but Graham has had conversations with them and they're supportive of the project as well. So just to do a quick summary, this is a vast improvement over the existing property because it takes a non-conforming flood-prone house and demolishes it, replaces it with a new single-family house, complies with all the flood regulations. It has water quality built in, and you're getting a new connection to the sanitary sewer system. There's already public water on the island, so it'll be connected there as well. So that's it. Everybody on the team here that I mentioned is here to answer questions if you have any, and I think I went over my 10 minutes, but I apologize.
That's right, Bob. Thank you very much. A couple quick snowball questions for someone that can answer them is the square footage of the house, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms. And the other thing was, can we just see the landscaping plan that your landscape architect did? I don't think we got that in the packet.
It's here.
Is that
Okay,
here?
Dan, do you want to talk about the,
Sure. So there's 5,700 square feet of living space in the house, excluding the area of the garage. And what was the other question? Number of bedrooms and baths?
Yes, please.
We have 5 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms. Actually 6 baths. We have a full bath in the mudroom area that will also service the pool.
Okay. I didn't see there's no pool house, right?
No.
Correct. So there's access to the mudroom area via a back stair. And so that will serve the pool and also give us a spot for the pool equipment to be elevated above the flood elevation.
Okay, thank you.
would you like Kate to go over her landscape plan here?
That'd be great, Bob. Thank you.
Okay, Kate?
Yes, hi, good evening. For the record, Kate Throckmorton, licensed landscape architect. For this CAM application, we focused the planting along the tidal wetland area to the north with the primary goal of removing some of the invasives, which include honeysuckle and tree of heaven, and replacing that with native trees that will tolerate that condition. Removing slightly or reducing some of the lawn area and replanting some native shrubs that include winterberry and clethra. So in brief, that's where the focus was.
Do you want to, what are these replantings along the eastern boundary? It's
Sure.
kind of-
The owner was very interested in trying to retain whatever existing plant material was existing around the foundation. So, so around the front of the existing house, almost all of those plants will be picked up and moved along the fence. We thought that that was a good spot. It keeps them out of the way for the construction, and they can be moved before any other construction takes place.
Okay.
Looks like two small trees are coming out. One here.
There's one tree. Yep, actually, Dan might be able to address that in more detail. I think there's one large tree, the honey locust, which is coming out that's right adjacent to the existing house. And the other pine that's on the western side, I think is really going to mostly get trimmed, but I'm not sure if that's completely going to get nixed or not.
And Kate, along the western boundary, that rock, kind of rock and combination trees are all going to remain?
Yes, there's not going to be any work on that side of the property. It serves as a very good buffer and separation between the two residences, so that is going to be protected and there will be no work along that side of the property.
The only comment I have relative to that, Bob, is I know you'll figure it out because the Boone Park is going to make you is, I guess you're putting the fence to block in the pool along that side. So somehow or other you go up and over the rock in some way, shape, or form. But you're going to have to get that for building department.
Yep.
Right, there's a fence already along these two side lot lines, and, you know, it's a matter of picking the right
Going-
spot in the house and the boundary over on the left here.
Right, to go east and west. Right,
Yep.
I guess. Okay. Just out of curiosity, is there an outdoor kitchen by the pool? Is that what I see next to the spot? And then there's, I think, a fire pit on something else.
Yeah, Dan Conlon for the record. So yes, that's the case. We've got an outdoor barbecue area that's right off the pool patio, and the drawing that we're looking at is sort of just below and to the left of the spa, that rectangle there.
That's
Right
what I
here?
thought. Yep.
Okay,
And- Okay, that's good. I'm good. Any other commissioner, any questions on this application?
I have one. This is Katie Lalarge talking. I'm a Darien resident, but I'm talking on behalf of the Nash family as a member of the family.
Can you hold on one second, ma'am? I just want to go
Sure.
to the commissioners first, and then I'll jump with, transition to you, please. Commissioners, you guys good? Larry, Jennifer's saying okay. Kara's looks okay.
See, okay.
Larry looks okay. George Riley, you're good? Give me a thumbs up. Was he a thumbs up? Okay, Katie Nash, you're up. Is that what your name was? I'm sorry, ma'am.
Katie Lalarge.
Katie Lalarge, yes. Of 147 Holmes Avenue. I just wanted to understand on the one of the first page, it said the waiver of the stormwater management. I just want to understand better what that actually means, section 888. Could you talk to that a bit? And then another question is the plantings that are going along the fence which borders Nash Island. I just want to understand what those were because it was mentioned that they were being moved from a different part of the site. I just wasn't sure what type they were.
Okay, we're gonna do it in two parts. Jeremy, you want to talk about the waiver of 880?
Sure. Jeremy Ginsburg, Planning and Zoning Director. Section 880 of the Darien zoning regulations is entitled Stormwater Management, and it requires applicants to address stormwater management as part of certain applications with impervious surface more than 1,000 square feet, such as this. There is a waiver provision for properties that are right on the water, such as this one, or near the water, or what the term in the regulations is the lower 1/3 of the watershed. And the reason for that is you don't want those properties to collect water during a big rainstorm. You want them to treat the water to address water quality and then release the water such that when the water flows downhill from New Canaan all the way through North Darien all the way down to here, that the water that fell here a few hours ago is already into Long Island Sound and it's been treated. So in this case, professional engineer Doug DeVesta designed that stormwater system to address what the regulations imply is first flush, that first part of the rainfall. The town engineer, Darren Ostafine, reviewed professional engineer DeVesta's work, and Mr. Ostafine, who's also an engineer, agreed that due to the location of this property, such a waiver would be appropriate for the commission to grant if they wish. So they will be dealing with water quality, but not holding back water. So that addresses the stormwater question and the stormwater issue.
And then the other item was with regards to landscaping, the bush can the,
can I,
answer that question?
can I
Yep,
just
I'd
add
be
one
happy.
thing?
I'd be happy to answer that. They are primarily three types of shrubs, small leafed hydrangea or PG hydrangea, roses and hydrangeas. So they're currently about 4 feet tall. They've reached close to their mature height, and they're really primarily there to provide a buffer and a low screening, but they are not evergreen, and they will not prevent any blocking of views if that was the concern.
It's an
If I could just add on one thing to what Jeremy said.
Sure.
The waiver does not allow for a development to create or worsen a runoff problem off-site onto adjacent properties. Just to make that point, it's one thing to say you have water quality, but there's no regrading here that's going to cause any runoff to run onto the adjacent properties. Is that fair statement, Doug DeVesta?
This is Doug DeVesta, professional engineer. Yes, it is, Bob. That's correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from the general public on this application? Anybody in the chat box, any of that kind of stuff?
No.
Commissioners all set? Bob, any closing sentences?
Yeah, I think we have all the issues covered. We have some support from two neighbors anyway, and we've answered the questions from the third. And I guess I just got cut off here. So
we can hear you, we can't see you. It's a
yeah,
pretty.
that's fine. I think we covered everything. This is a plus from an environmental standpoint, and we hope that you grant the application. Thank you.
With that said, I'm looking for a motion to close. So George Riley makes a motion, Jen Leahy makes a second. All those in favor? Great, thank you. All righty.
Thank you, everyone.
Good. You're welcome. We'll deliberate this in a couple of weeks and get back to you in a couple of weeks. We'll close here. Next item. Okay, Dr. Vespa, please. Where are we?
That's number 3, 29.
Coastal Site Plan Review number 357, Pledge Damage application number 4, landfilling and community application number 5. George and Kelly White Ridge at 29 Tokenique Trail. Proposal to raise the existing residence, remove existing tennis court, and construct a new single-family residence with a new driveway and parking area, pool and terrace/patio areas, and installation of a stormwater management and new subsurface sewage disposal system, and to perform related site development activities within regulated areas. The 1.23 plus or minus acre subject property is located on the west side of Tokenique Trail, approximately 1,000 feet south of the intersection of the Canoe Trail, and is shown on Assessor's Map number 69 as lot number 40A in the R1 zone. Doug DeVesta, our guy. Jeremy, what do we got?
Jeremy Ginsburg, Planning and Zoning Director. This is very similar to the last application. This is a property right on the water. And in this case, they're going to also take down the house, put up a new house that will conform with FEMA flood regulations. In this case, they have a non-conforming tennis court that's too close to the street that will be removed as part of this project. This subject application is on a septic system now, and the new house will also be on a septic system. Get a request, which is kind of an unusual request, from the state of Connecticut DEEP, who you may recall on the last application, they sent in comment. In terms of this application, they did a comment this morning at 9:51 a.m. say that it's still undergoing review. And in order to provide DEP additional needed time for review, they're requesting that the hearing remain open for the next meeting of the commission. So I wanted to mention that here, that they're still looking at it. Professional engineer Doug DeVesta and Jill from Race are here to present the application. Doug, I'll turn the screen over to you and here.
Okay, thank you.
Get you started. Did I get the right screen here? Let's see.
Let's see, hang on a second. No, I haven't gotten it yet, Jeremy.
You got two Dougs here, so maybe I clicked on the wrong one.
Yeah, I'm on the second Doug is my, the first Doug is my, my screen.
Okay, so I'm gonna try the second one here. Make presenter. Let's try this one.
Yeah, there we go. You got it.
Got it?
Yep. Okay. Get my stuff back up again. There we go. Okay, let's get this over to here. Okay, for the record, Doug DeVesta, professional engineer, represent the applicant. What's on the screen right now is the existing condition survey. As Jeremy mentioned, there's an existing house with a attached garage, a gravel driveway on the north side of the property, and a tennis court in the central portion of the site. They are both non-conforming. The setback lines are right about here, so this house is non-conforming. We also have two flood zones. We have the VE flood zone elevation 14 on the Scotts Cove side, and we have flood zone AE elevation 13 on the land side of the property. And as Jeremy mentioned, this is on a septic system, and a new septic system will be provided. So going to our site plan, what we're looking to do is to raise the existing house, which is right along the road and the tennis court, and construct a new 3-bedroom residence with a pool and a lower terrace and upper terrace of the house, with a front courtyard made of grass pavers and a parking area to the south for the residents to park. The new septic system will be placed on the little knoll area on the south end of the property. What you see here, this is the driveway to the Bartsdale's property. That will remain, get modified slightly for the design of the septic system. This is still part of our property. There's an easement across it to access the property. The house will be, the proposed house, first floor elevation will be at 15, so it would be about 2 feet above the flood elevation of the AE flood zone of 13, which will meet the FEMA requirements. It also will meet the zoning requirements for planning and zoning for flood damage prevention. We'll be moving the curb cut from the north end of the property to more the central portion to access the front of the house. Again, be grass pavers, so no impervious areas will be provided in front of the house. There's just a grass paver area. The existing house is on the septic system, which really is no record of it, but it's in a general location under the existing gravel parking area. That will be abandoned, and a new septic system will be installed on the south side of the property. I've been out there numerous times looking for a septic area on the property. As you can see by my test holes at various locations, the soils in this general area are not suitable for a septic. This is the only area that we found suitable for a septic. The septic plan is in the health department for review. It has been reviewed. We're just waiting for some confirmation. They're waiting for some confirmation from the neighbor to the south that they understand that the septic system and their driveway will be slightly realigned to accommodate the new septic system. So that we're waiting for that portion to be approved and getting a written response from the health department. We're also looking at stormwater management out here, looking at the water quality volume. Again, that's the first inch of runoff from the impervious surfaces, which will be the roof areas, the upper terrace, and the lower terrace. We are providing trench drains at the outer edges of the terraces that will be directed to a subsurface bioretention area that will handle the first inch of flush, handle the first inch of runoff, which are the first flush, and then there will be overflow pipes. Anything greater than the 1 inch of storm will have a scupper drains through the retaining wall, and then will drain sheet flow out towards Scotts Cove. We are requesting a waiver of section 880 for the stormwater management. And based on comments from Darren, he's in support of the waiver for full stormwater management plan. The items and Darren's comments, items 1 through 9, basically are descriptive of the project. Item 10, the waiver request, he was supportive of that. Item number 11, about the unfunded mandate that the DEP is asking. That form has been submitted to Darren and also to Jeremy. And also, he's also asked about providing an as-built of the property when it's completed. And we do have a note here, number 5, that it asks for a as-built of the plan. As Jeremy mentioned, DEP has wanted additional time to review the project, and so I guess we'll be granting that. We want to have this conversation tonight with you, or presentation tonight, to get input from the commission and any potential comments from any of the neighbors, so we can address them for the next meeting when we have to get DEP's comments. Also on the call, as Jeremy mentioned, is Jill from RACE, and Chuck, the architect, is here as well. So if there's any questions, maybe Jill, you want to just go over your flood damage prevention calculations and stuff like that for us?
Sure, yes. And so RACE reviewed the property to document that the proposed project would not have any negative increases or negative impacts that could potentially increase the flood risk on the site or the excuse me, adjacent property. In addition, RACE provided wave loads along the proposed retaining walls and pools so that the project team could design those structures to be anchored to resist loads in accordance with the town of Darien zoning regulations. We provided a letter stating as such that there are not going to be any increases due to wave crest elevations, wave run up, or wave reflection on the site or adjacent properties.
Yes, we definitely have your letter.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, Joe. If the waves did come, where would they come from? Scotts Cove?
Sorry?
If the waves did come, where would they come from? Scotts Cove on the top side?
Correct, yes. And it's a fairly protected site, so the incident waves are not too big.
It's Scotts Cove is tidal, right? I think it's like a 7 or 8 foot tidal, that thing. We have to call. All right, okay, sounds good.
That's correct, yeah.
I did request them. Anything else to add?
Well, you want to see the we have Chuck, the architect, is here to look at the elevations of the house. So this will be the front elevation looking from Tokenie Trail. This lower one, hang on, oops, I just messed up here. So this will be looking from Tokenie Trail. This will be looking from the west, or from the north side, the right side of the house. This would be the water side, looking out towards the water, and this would be looking from the south, looking north. If there's any other, if there are any questions on the architecture or the houses itself, then the architect is here, Chuck is here to describe those.
Could you do one thing for me, Doug? Can you try to see if you can stick a text, a zoning box on one of your plans? There's a zoning box on the old plan survey from Seymour, but it says proposed is all blank. Yeah, the proposed corner.
Okay, yeah.
That's all, because I know the house is 30 feet tall. That's all I really care about. That's the most important thing I care about. And then the lot coverage and all that stuff.
Okay, Well, I'll look for that. We certainly can have that ready for the next meeting.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's no
Yeah, I
problem.
guess that's dated April 12th, 2021, so it's recent. Just fill in that one column would be great.
That's no problem. We're actually, the coverage is going from over 10,000 to just over 4,000. So with the removal of that tennis court and all the nonconformities, we're taking it down quite a bit. So we'll have that ready for you.
Fantastic, thank you. The square footage of the house, do we know what that is? You said it's 3 bedrooms, I saw that.
Yeah, I have that right here. Hang on 1 second. Approximate square footage of the house from a coverage perspective is 3416. So that includes the terraces. So it's
Okay.
with the first and second floor, it's under 5,000. It's a rather smaller, modest house.
Okay. The west was 5,700, that was a lot. So it was even. Commission members, any questions on this application at this point? Kara's okay. Larry looks good. George looks good. Jen, any question? You're good? Okay. Would any neighbors like to speak or any residents of the public like to speak to this application? If you would like to.
Yeah, I would, Steve, if you can hear me. Jack DeVita.
Go right ahead. Good. Oh, there he is. Hey, what's happening?
How you doing, Steve? Jack DeVita, I'm a 30 Tokenique Trail just across the street. I'm talking in 2 capacities, one as a neighbor and also as a member of the association board. First, on the new driveway cut, I don't know what is the process for a new driveway cut, because there's some concerns about the road and sight lines, et cetera. So we might have some concerns at the association level for that new driveway cut. And I don't know the particulars of, how one is, how it's done.
Well, that's a private road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack, you have to check with the association.
You have to grant it, Jack.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to know whether we would have the final say on that, and that's something I need to go back to the board with, and whether we want to approve that. But on another thought, just as they could also enter the if that was done, they could also enter the property from the Barksdale's driveway, since that's on theirs. That's another a way for them, just as an aside. But I'll have to take this up with the committee at the board level and get back to you on that, or get back to them, because I don't make that decision obviously alone.
Doug, just to confirm, are you closing the original driveway by the old garage?
We are, yes, we are. Well, we're leaving that open, but it'll be a footpath to the house to Tokenique Trail.
Okay.
So it won't be for vehicle traffic, but it'll be for foot traffic only.
You see that on the plan, Jack? It's the Brown Run to the
No, that
right.
I see. It's and that makes perfect sense.
And then the new driveway moves to the new curb cut.
My second question, Steve, you kind of brought it up. You said that you only cared about the height of the building as 30 foot, but when you look at the plans, it looks like it goes above that maximum height. So again, I'm a novice to these plans and what the rules are, but it looks like it goes above the maximum height.
Right, Mr. DeVita, for a house in Darien, the way we calculate building height, from the average grade around the house to the average of the highest peak and the highest. So in this case, the architect has called out the average of the highest peak of the house and the highest eve. It is very, very common in Darien for your peak to be above 30 feet. That is very common in Darien. So this house, based on what I see here, does comply with the 30-foot height maximum.
It's right there, left-hand side, Jack. And it's 30 feet. It's 30 feet from the finished grade to basically the middle of the peak. And yes, it goes above that, a little higher. And the first, because because it's in a flood zone too. The first floor finished grade is at, I think, 14 feet. Yeah, it's
Right.
at 15 feet.
Okay.
This house will not be allowed to have a basement, and I don't think there's any,
I'm sorry, you cut
There's
out.
no-
I didn't hear that.
this house is not allowed to have a basement because it's in the flood zone.
Of course.
And plans that I saw show no finished space in the attic
Right.
either.
Right. Yeah, no, as their neighbor, they wouldn't want a basement because it'd be their second swimming pool, but that's another, that's another point altogether. And my third question, just because again, I'm new to this, is on the plans, you have a soil stockpile. I assume that means that's just during construction that you're gonna put stuff there and that's not gonna be a permanent fixture.
That
Yes,
is
that's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Yes, thank you, because I don't want to look at a soil stockpile for long anyway. So that's all I had. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for your time.
No sweat, Chuck, anytime, man. Good luck in your new position.
Yeah, thanks.
Would anybody else in the general public like to speak to this application?
We're going to continue it to Tuesday, July 13th, which is the next commission meeting.
Okay, so this application is going to be continued to Tuesday, July 13th. Same bat time,
7:30 PM.
same bat.
Tuesday, July 13th, 7:30 PM. There's going to be no additional notice. This is your notice for that meeting. Tuesday, July 13th.
Okay,
Just a quick question, if I could, just to confirm what appears to be, there is no garage for this structure?
Correct.
That's correct, George. That's correct. No garage.
I didn't even notice that, George. Good pickup. All right. There we
Yeah,
go. Good.
George, as the neighbor, they wouldn't want a garage there anyway because from time to time it does flood and you know they wouldn't want to leave cars there for very long.
Wow.
Okay, fair enough. Just a significant piece of property that you can't put a car in a garage to shelter from snow, but so goes. Good for them.
All right. We will see that one again. Next item up. Next one is coastal site plan review number 356, landfilling and recreating application number 504, James and Leanne Hamilton at 40 Swift Lane. Proposal to construct a new pool, spa, and associated patio area and stormwater management and perform related site development activities within a regulated area. The 0.17 plus or minus acre property is located on the southern terminus of Swift's Lane, approximately 1,300 feet southeast of its intersection with Rings End Road. Is shown on Assessor's Map number 50 as Lot 8 in the R1 zone. Jeremy, what do we got?
Sure. Commission members, you may have seen this property before. At one point, I believe there was an application to subdivide it into two pieces. At this point, though, whoever bought it, he's decided just to live there and put in a pool instead. The pool is, and the property is on Gorham's Pond. So because it's on the water, we referred it to the state of Connecticut to EEP. They sent an email dated June 18th saying based on their review, they have no comments to add for the commission's considerations. Darren Ostfine of Public Works also looked at it. Mr. DeVesta will cover his point. And just for the record, this application got approval from the Darien Environmental Protection Commission as an agent approval on June 3rd. So that's part of the record as well, is the EPC approval. So this is a pool and a patio in the backyard of the house. Professional engineer Doug DeVesta is here to review the application.
Good, Doug, take it away.
Okay, good evening, Doug DeVesta, professional engineer, representing the applicant. What we're looking at here is the site plan. You got Swiss Lane up in the, would be the northwesterly corner. This is basically the terminus of Swiss Lane coming into a driveway, garages, existing house, a barn area. And then you've got some ornamental landscaping and patios in the back of the house here. To the further east, you got Gorham's Pond. Basically, it's like a peninsula jetting out into Gorham's Pond. The area here is all lawn and it's fairly a flat area. The client looking to put in a pool patio and a spa area. So we're providing a access from the paved driveway across an existing asphalt area down to the pool area to construct it. There'll be some minor regrading because it does slope off a little bit. This is the higher end, a little lower end here. There's a little bit of grading going on to maintain a level area for the house. This red line is the 100-foot up CAM review area. This other line here is the flood zone, a flood elevation of 10.7 according to Seymour's plan. The area to the south of or the east of this stone wall is a existing wooded buffer area to Gorham's Pond. Because we are within the coastal area, we are asking for a waiver of section 880 for the stormwater management plan. We're looking at water quality volume. Water quality volume will handle the increase in the one that should run off from the impervious areas of the patio going into a detention system, bioretention area east of the pool area. The existing house is connected to the sanitary sewer as well as the water line coming in off the Swiss Lane. Silk fence will be placed around the construction area, any tracking pad on the construction access lane to the pool area. In terms of Darren's comments, items 1 through 9 are pretty much accurate description of the proposed project. Darren is in support of the waiver of section 880. We have provided Darren with the disconnected impervious areas calculations form that he has, and also we have added a note to the plan that an as-built will be provided once the construction is completed. That's really it for this project. And as Jeremy mentioned, the DEP had no comments on this application for the pool. It was referred out to DEP. If there's any questions from the commissioners, I'd be glad to answer them.
I was just asking Jeremy, we understand it's a temporary driveway. Your tracking pad is on the right side of the house?
That's correct. It's only the contemporary. It's only the not contemporary. The temporary access just to access construction. That's it.
Got it. Okay. And then the impervious, this lot's big enough. I mean, it's 2 acres. It's not coming remotely even close to the block house. Not even close. Okay, that's cool. Any questions from any commissioners on this one? Jennifer's okay. George's okay. Kara's okay. Larry, any questions, bud?
Oh, just I can't resist the comment of noticing that they're gonna have a pool and a pond. And Steve, if you visit, the pond is good for you.
So yes, the reflecting pond is more of a
I
dark.
just couldn't help. Oh, sorry.
No, it's a reflecting pool, right?
I'm just doing a Caddyshack quote. That's all.
All right. Got me.
Like I said, can't resist. Like the scorpion on the frog.
That's exactly right. Would any people from any member of the general public like to speak to this application? No public? Okay. Anything else to add before we close? Doug?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With that said, I entertain a motion to close. Kara Gately made it. Jennifer Leahy seconded it. All in favor? Fantastic. All righty, great. Thank you, everybody. We'll get back to this in Doug, a couple weeks. Get rid of this. Bingo. Okay. Next one, landfilling and regrading application number 503, Stanislaw and I'm gonna say Elizabeth Makowitz at 288 West Avenue. Proposal to construct a new driveway with associated retaining walls and stormwater management and perform related site development activities, including the removal of part from the existing retaining wall with frontage on West Avenue and filling and regrading of the property. The 0.15 plus acre subject property is on the south side of West Avenue, approximately 80 feet east of its intersection with the road, Ridgely Street. The Sono Assessors Map number 22 as lot 21 in the R1 fifth zone. Jeremy, what do we got?
Sure, this is a property that I'm sure every commission member has driven by many, many, many times. It's right on West Avenue and it's a big stone wall. And the existing garage for the property is built into the wall, built into the road. It's a difficult, I would assume, to get in and out of that because you're backing into West Avenue, and it's like, I'll call it like a bunker. This property really doesn't, and there's a good picture of it. This property really doesn't have a driveway serving the house. So if you can imagine day-to-day operations, groceries, walking up on a winter day, whatever it is. And so Mr. Mikowski hired Doug DeVesta to design a driveway. See here, one of the issues Mr. DeVesta had up with the driveway that complies with town regulations in terms of steepness. You don't want it too steep near West Avenue, so you would slide into the road. So there's generally what we look at is a 3% slope close to the road and no more than 15% as you get up the driveway and away from the road. So Doug's been working closely with our office on coming up with an appropriate design that is functional summer and winter and can provide the Mikowskis the necessary access and desired access to their house. So Doug's going to explain a little bit about the regrading and the new retaining that will be needed on either side of that driveway to get from West Avenue, which is the low spot, up to the existing, or at least closer to the existing residence. Very interesting application.
And we're keeping the below grade garage, right?
We're going to keep that. Yes.
That might be historic.
That's not bad.
DeVesta, your game is
Okay.
on.
Okay, good evening, Doug DeVesta, professional engineer, represent the applicant. First, I'd like to do is go through the slides here just to get your orientation and see what's going on out here. So this is to the west of our site. You got Wrigley Road right here on the very left side of the sheet. This is the beginning of the retaining wall. This is our client's house at 288 West Avenue. This is, as Jeremy said, this is the original house was built in 1928, according to the assessor's card. This subterranean garage was constructed in 1951, again, according to the assessor's card. And then these are the steps going in, and this is continuation of the retaining wall. And you can see there's very little driveway between the sidewalk and the actual garage itself. You go a little further, just the pictures pulled out a little bit further from the garage area, so you can see both houses to the west of us. Go down a little further to the east, you'll see a similar situation. You've got the retaining wall returning back into the property. You've got a driveway coming up and a retaining wall on the other side, the other house, and then you got steps going into the other house further east. And then again, another situation down, even a few more houses down. Again, you've got this retaining wall continues down along West Avenue. And then going back to here, this retaining wall is approximately 7 to 8 feet tall. And then it continues on up to the site itself. So what I'd like to do now is go to the site plan. So let's see. So the property is approximately 7,500 square feet. So this is a rectangle. You've got Wrigley Road to the west. You've got West Avenue to the south. It's in the 1/5 acre zone. It's fully developed. And as you can see from this plan here, that you've got a little bit of a driveway area before the property line, and then you've got the new sidewalk that was installed in front of the property itself. This gives you a depiction of the existing retaining wall and the steps going up to the house, and then the other retaining wall returns back out and goes in a westerly direction towards Wrigley Road. As mentioned earlier, the wall is approximately 7 to 8 feet tall in this area here. The proposal is to remove this portion of the wall and those steps, put the steps now on the west side of the existing garage, utilizing the garage stone wall that's here as the retainage on the left side or the west side of the driveway, and construct a new retaining wall on the east side or the right side of the property to maintain, to hold back the soils and to provide a driveway. Also put a stone wall, retaining wall at the end of the driveway to retain some of the soils, because again, the slope would get too steep coming up, and then just provide some additional shorter walls to maintain the soils and reduce the grading going back up towards the house. We did ask, we are requesting a waiver of section 880 for a full stormwater management plan. As we just discussed on previous applications we had tonight, the request for section 880 for stormwater because we're along the coast, but this one we're requesting a waiver because we have less than 1,000 square feet of impervious areas from the new driveway. So we're asking for a waiver of that from the commission for a full stormwater management plan application. There is no drainage system right in West Avenue, but the West Avenue, we're about the high point. It does flow to the west to catch basin that's located at the corner of Wrigley and West Avenue. We are also, so we're asking for that waiver again for less than 1,000 square feet. The lot, there's really no parking here for any cars. If you were pulling here, your back end of your car would be hanging out onto West Avenue. There is no parking on West Avenue, so we feel that this is an adequate location to put a driveway with some parking here for West Avenue. We are also asked for a waiver from DPW for the residential driveway specifications. They have specific, Darren's got the specific requirements for the width of the driveway, the curb cut, the radiuses, and things of that nature. We asked for a waiver from the commission, from Darren, and for a driveway from the edge of the radius to the edge of the radius of 33.8 feet. And he has, and as of June 14, 21, Darren has approved our request for a waiver. We will work with him on the radiuses of the driveway, and it'll be a 24-foot wide driveway cut at the property line. So then, just again, going back to Darren's comments, he provided us with comments. Again, items 1 through 3 were really descriptive in nature of the project itself. Item 4, there's a note on the plan that a permit will be required from DPW for the new curb cut for this driveway. And items 5 and 6 regarding the stormwater, we are asking for a waiver from this commission for the stormwater management plan. And we also requested a grant, a waiver for the curb cut and the width of the curb cut from DPW, and that was granted. Also, we're required to do the stormwater, the DEP unfunded mandate requirements for the impervious areas, and that was completed and submitted to Darren, and then also provided a note on the plan that an as-built survey will need to be done for the project itself. With regards to the retaining walls, my client has talked to a structural engineer. I've spoken to him as well. these walls will have to be designed by a structural engineer and be approved by the building department because they will be over 4 feet tall. As you can see, the edge of the wall and the property line, there's not much area between here. The structural engineer assured me that they could be constructed without disturbing the neighbor to the east of us. The footings would be protrude into the property itself, and no protrusion. If there's be a slight protrusion on the east side of the wall itself for the structural portion of the wall. I'm not a structural engineer, but this is how I was explained to me about how the walls would be constructed, especially the wall that's along the east side here, and it will be tied back into the existing retaining wall. This will be most likely a poured concrete wall with reinforcements in there. And then again, the design would be done by a structural engineer and approved by the building department. It will be tied back into the existing retaining wall here, and the same thing along the steps on the westerly side of the property itself. That's our presentation for tonight. If there's any questions from the commission, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Doug. Would you mind just going back to that one picture at the beginning where it shows the existing, maybe the whole thing or just for the garage? There you go, perfect. So at the end of the day, relative to the waiver, the other one's better. There you go, relative to the waiver, there's no real impervious surface change because you're taking out impervious surface and putting in impervious surface. Is that correct?
Right. And it's about, I think it's about 400 some odd square feet of impervious areas that we're creating. And you got to think about this, the steps that were here are going to be brought over to here. So really this impervious areas will be counteracted from this impervious area in here. So we're acting about 400 square feet of new impervious areas.
Right, which is just really the new driveway that's going up and most of that's changed. Because that
That's
was
correct.
going, there was one was for the waiver, which makes sense. And then 2 was for impervious surface lot coverage, which is, it's kind of a wash. Because the same thing on the survey, you did the zoning chart, or the guy did the zoning chart, but didn't change the, didn't fill in the proposed box.
Okay.
Yeah. Maximum coverage. Yeah, your maximum coverage is 20%, and you're at excluding the garage, it's at 13%, so it really shouldn't change that much.
No.
I mean, it's existing's 13%, and it's not gonna change, and then the curb cut is gonna be the new driveway plus the old garage / driveway. That's how you get to the 24 feet, right?
That's correct. Correct.
Okay, got it. And we're good with the slope of it, 3%.
Public Works is reviewing that.
Fantastic. Any other questions from any commissions on this application? Wave your hand, smile, jump up and down, turn your lights on. We're good. Jen's smiling. Kara Gately. Yes, Kara.
So I used to live on Ridgely Street, so I'm kind of very familiar with this area. And you're saying that it will flow, you think the water runoff will flow to the west of the site?
Correct.
Away from Ridgely, but then you cited a storm drainage on the corner of Ridgely, and I was just curious about how that was going to happen.
Okay.
And the water flows towards. Yeah, go to the
Right there.
Right.
Yeah, you can see the two right
Come on.
there. Right there.
So,
It says-
Kara, so you've got an elevation of 106.7 right here in the curb line. You've got 106.6, 106.3, 105.7, and then you got a grade here of 105. So the water is flowing from east to west.
Even though
So
it's
this-
up, like that area, that part of West Avenue goes up this way towards Ridgely.
Right. You're almost at the high point right here. You're almost at the high point of the crest of the hill there on West Avenue.
And we
Because
think
here's
water-
a 106 contour right here, and then you got 106.7 right here. You got 107 right over here. So you're coming up and then we're actually gonna be flow. It's actually gonna flow in a westerly direction.
It showed those two catch basins. It says CB this for the catch basins. Just slide down a little bit more. Right there, bingo. There's one
I know
catch
where they
basin there.
are.
One on
No, I know exactly where they
Yeah.
are.
so that's where the water will go.
Okay. Normally goes the other way, but okay.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, is that for the, are you asking for the general public or,
Yeah, now we're gonna go to the general public.
okay.
Good. Could you give me an address, sir?
Yeah, my name's Arthur Ball. I live at 284 West Avenue.
Make the survey. Yep.
Yeah, I submitted some paper or email to Mr. Ginsburg and Fred Donnet last night. I just want to say, first of all, I'll try and keep this brief. I've met the new, I believe, the intended resident, Michael Markowski. Seems like he's going to be a great neighbor. He's done a lot of good work on that house. It really needs it. I'm sure that's going to help the property values of all of us around him. The only reason I'm here tonight is as was it Mr. DeVesta who was speaking a minute ago? It's hard to tell what.
Yeah.
So obviously, as you saw in the pictures, we have a shared retaining wall that's very old. It's a very old retaining wall, it appears. The removal of it so close to my property line is what I'm concerned about. So not only like the removal of it, but also the construction, the removal of dirt, the construction of the new wall that's so close as you proceed up my property line to the northerly direction, and how that might affect, in anything in an adverse way, my property. So not only the old wall that's already there, but like the wall that will go into my property. I just had, for instance, a patio refinished in like the last week, and like if there's any kind of settling soil or disturbed roots or anything like that, and again, I don't know what could happen. It's just like what might happen either in the short term or even like in a handful of years from now. I submitted an email, and I guess maybe just to illustrate some of the possible damage that I'm talking about. Is there a way for me to share my screen? Can I do that here? Or can someone display the email that I submitted last night to Mr. Ginsburg?
I'll be able to share your screen. I don't have the email, but I'm making you a presenter real quick, Mr. Ball.
Okay.
I'll be able to share your screen, but the commission members did get your email. We emailed it out to the members this morning.
Okay, great. Let me just do this right. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna be.
I can pull it up if you want me to, Jeremy.
Do you mind? I'm on my
Sure.
work computer.
Yep.
I think I would have an issue, but it looks like there might be.
Okay, Doug, let's try this.
What are we pulling up?
Mr. Ball's email dated June 21st, 10:16 p.m. He had 4 different questions in the email. I know Doug tried running through them as part of his presentation.
Okay.
I'm happy enough to read the email myself, or just to like paraphrase the questions. It's more, it just in the email. I could, so my wall, not only do I share it with 288, there's an identical wall that looks like it was built at the same time by the same people immediately to the east on 282. That person at some time had a driveway cut into that wall, and it exists there now. Like I took a picture of that, and like there's clearly some damage from that has either occurred over time or at the construction, who knows. But there's damage to the retaining wall that is on West Avenue. And given the proximity of the removal of this retaining wall on 288, that's just one of the things that concerns me. And it's just an example of what might happen, rather than like what I'm saying will happen.
I bet you nickel that they're gonna have to get access to your property, so something's gonna happen going in the future. Because I bet you when they're building the wall, they might want to stand on your side too.
Right. There's a fence
Jeremy, can you
there.
try to meet the presenter again?
Sure.
It's the one with the, without my, that's not muted, upper left-hand corner.
Got it.
Okay, there we go. Got it. Okay.
Is that where you said the retaining wall's not done yet, right? The engineer still signed off on it?
So you're saying this wall, this is what you're talking about right here, it's cracking right here.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, we're gonna have a structural engineer is gonna be, designing these walls, as I mentioned earlier, because the walls are over 4 feet tall. And they'll have to be brought before the building department for approvals. Again, we haven't designed these walls yet. We want to get the approval first, and then we'll have the structural design come through and look at it. And that was something we'll make sure that he's aware of, that you'll have to make sure these things are tied into the existing wall. And he assured me that they can construct these walls without going onto your property. And again, the footings would be placed more into the 288 property versus going into a normal structural wall would go. You would have the footings on the uphill side of the wall, but this one have to go on the downhill side. But he has to, he'll have to do the formulas to make sure that this wall is sturdy enough to handle the loads and stuff like that on it. And structural engineer will be doing that part of it.
Okay, so like he feels confident about it retaining my property and not letting dirt settle or anything like that.
Yes, he is.
I'm still a little struck by where the curvature of the new wall is going to begin down here. I mean, it's like literally like right at the property line. Like, how do you break that? This wall is, so the lady to the east of me, she thinks that the wall was part of the New Deal. It's so old, like after the Depression. Like, how are you going to just like break this wall apart? Like, I'm hesitant when people come in to clean the moss off the wall, because I'm like, don't touch this wall. Let's just be really gentle with it. Like, it's a great wall, but it's old and possibly brittle.
Well, that's something we'll have to talk about. Again, this is my rendering saying the wall will be curved here. Maybe it'll be a straight wall. Again, that'll be up to the structural engineer how to connect the proposed wall with the existing wall. So that's something that will have to be, that detail have to be worked out with the structural engineer.
And also the destruction, the removal, I don't hesitate to use the word destruction, but like the removal and breaking of the current wall that's there. That concerns me. So like, do those cracks like resonate down my wall? That type of stuff. That's all. So again, they're doing a lot of great work there. I'm excited about how this house is going to look. It's looking better already. This just concerns me. I want to make sure my concerns are on the record here. Also, let me I guess one of the other things I'm saying is like, what if something happens? Like, how do I as the neighbor go about, pleading my case or proving it? Like, do I have to have some before and after pictures? Do I need video and pictures? And how do I prove that it wasn't cracked beforehand? Like that type of thing. What are my assurances? And then like, also a second question, I'm sorry if I'm not letting you address one at a time, but in a similar nature, what happens if the Mikowskis move or if the DeVestas are no longer in business, the firm? Like, what is my recourse here? If like something that happens in 5 years, like the damage starts to show.
Yeah, it's what happens is all these things, because this is a structural engineered wall, the licensed engineer for this thing has to sign off on it. So that's the guy whose license is on the line that it's designed properly. What they typically, if you can see the little green part between the existing wall and then the dotted line, which is the property line, maybe they'll put those steel plates to hold back the dirt while the thing's under construction. They're not going to attach the wall, but the structural engineer, which is part of the building department, after we approve it, it has to go to the building department. That's the next step. Then they have to sign off on all that stuff. So they're the ones that, will monitor it. 5 years from now, if something happens, you know, that I really can't answer the question. But that's, you know, that happens on every single project. We try to make sure it's all, you know, buttoned up and set up properly. That's why the engineers all sign off on it. That's the best we can do. This is site plan review. This is not the engineering, the review. But you are on record for it. Your letter's in the file. It will get viewed by the engineer. There's going to be additional plans, so you can monitor it every step of the way prior to the work being started.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your comments. Would anybody else like to comment on this application? Anything else before we look to close, Doug?
I think that's it for me.
Thank you, man. Okay. With that said, I'd entertain a motion to close. I think that's Carrie. Yep, and seconded by Jen. The girls are going fast tonight. All those in favor? Thank you, folks. All right.
Thank you. I'm done, guys. That's it for me for tonight.
Thanks for coming.
Good night.
Man. Here we go. That is the end of the public hearing. Now we're going to go into the general meeting aspect of the of tonight's meeting. The next up item we have is amendment to the special permit number 60 F and Frank (2) site plan Country Club of Darien at 300 Mansfield Avenue, expansion of a pool complex. I read the application. Go ahead, Jeremy. That's what you got.
Yes, this is the Country Club of Darien. If you're familiar with their property, it's a very large property, and the clubhouse and the pool area is pretty much in the middle of the property. The club has come to us. You have your materials in your packets to slightly expand the existing pool complex area, redo the kiddie pool, new terracing, expand it a little bit. I think it's self-explanatory, but Thomas Cross of Wesley Stout Associates, Tom's a landscape architect, and Chuck DeLuca's a member of the club here. Either of them can answer any questions you may have. The proposal is not to change any hours or membership of the club. It's just basically to slightly expand the pool complex area on this. I think Chuck told me earlier today, it's well over 100 acres of property, and the new impervious surface is like 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, I read the application. It's pretty straightforward. But Chuck, I think you're a lawyer, aren't you? Why don't you explain to us real quick? Lawyers like to talk. You gotta turn your mic on, sir. You're muted.
I should be okay now. Steve, you're right. I am a lawyer, and I've even sat in the same chair that you're sitting in at one point in time.
I know you did. That's why I'm making you talk.
It's much easier to sit over there and ask the questions than it is to answer them, but I hope this is self-explanatory. We're just trying to enhance our pool offering at CCD. It was last renovated in 2007, and our membership is getting younger, thankfully, and the pool is becoming much more popular due to the younger members. So we decided that we'd like to add some space for additional lounge chairs. I think we're increasing the impervious surface by about 1,500 square feet. We're also going to add some amenities such as a new zero entry kiddie pool and a pool bar that's about 14 by 26 feet in size. We're removing the shade structure and we're adding to the lawn. So we're giving back a little bit of impervious surface as well. Jeremy said we've got about 135 acres. This is a part of our long-range plan, which this is phase 1 of our long-range plan. So we're going to be back to you, months from now with some new ideas and some new concepts for your consideration. But that's essentially it. Tom, do you have anything?
No, Chuck, I think you nailed all the high points.
Yep, no, and you threw a great graduation party last Wednesday.
So I hear.
Yes, it was very good. I left. And then the area, the proposed seasonal pool bar, that goes back into the lawn where the tent was last weekend for the graduation.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, we're pushing that fence, Steve, out about 10 or 15 feet into the lawn to the east.
Yeah, and there's plenty of room there, that's for sure.
Yeah, there is.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions on this application? No, everyone looks
Another
good.
question. I would just comment, I'm glad that they don't have to get a variance from ZBA because I can only imagine what a grilling that would be for.
Just as reference,
Payback,
Mr.
yeah.
Wicker was on the ZBA for, I think, 16, 17 years, Chuck?
Great
Yeah,
service.
you know, I lost track, Jeremy, but I think it was over 1,000 applications.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
on
you
the
made a
Z.
lot of friends there, Jack, I'm sure.
Wow.
All right, with that said, we don't have to take any comments in the general public, right? We're good.
Yeah, this is a general meeting item,
Fantastic.
so we'll just take a motion.
Entertain a motion to approve as submitted. I think that's, yep, Jen and George
Jennifer,
Riley,
Warren.
seconder. All's in favor?
Okay, great.
There you go, Chuck, you're all set. Good luck with your
Thanks,
new
guys.
kitty.
Appreciate it. Have a nice
Great
night.
to have you. You're welcome. Next item, coastal site plan review, flood zone verification number 381, Janie Eckert at 165 Long Neck Point Road, reapproval and modifications to an expired dock permit. Jeremy, what do we got?
Tom Ryder from Land Tech is here to explain the application. You have the plans in your packet. You know, for these docks, you need EP approval and you need Army Corps of Engineers approval. Tom just got Army Corps of Engineers approval just a couple weeks ago. So Tom, as with most of these docks, the amount of work in town jurisdiction, which is landward of Menai Water, is very minimal. Can you just give us a little flavor for what's going on, I'll call it town regulated property? You already have DEP approval, you have Army Corps approval, Planning and Zoning Commission's approved it once. Tell us why you're here today.
Good evening, Tom Ryder, representing Jim and Janine Eckert at 165 Long Neck Point Road. Yeah, I think Jeremy explained a lot of the background, so I'm going to keep this short. We had originally received approval for a residential dock which had tandem wooden piles. After we received various approvals, they decided to go to a single pile design. The length, location, and everything of the dock is the same. All we're doing is going to what's called an HSS, which is a hollow structural steel pile. And what that actually does is it reduces the number of piles that are in your jurisdiction. We went from 8 piles down to 2 piles, and we had to remove, I think it was 6 piles, I think, had to do remove some large riprap in order to put the piles in, and then we had to put it back. This design only requires that removal for 1. So really, it's the same dock. It's really just supported differently, and it has less of an impact in your jurisdiction.
Tom, there's no dock there now, right? This is where I go water skiing.
I don't know where you go water skiing, but okay, yes. It's actually, there's a cove to the north at 159 Long Neck Point Road that kind of sticks out a little bit. So this is actually outside of any navigation for motorboats.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm exactly right. There's a dock next year, I think. All right, cool, got it. I'll make sure we don't hit it. Any commissioners have any questions on this application?
George saying no, Larry, no, Jennifer, no.
And Kara's on the phone.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. Motion to approve as submitted?
Yep.
Okay, intend a motion to approve as submitted. George
George
Riley
Riley.
makes a motion. I bet you Larry Warble's get, Jen Leahy beat you to it. Jen Leahy. All those in favor?
Yeah.
There you go. And Kara said yes too.
Yep.
5-0.
5-0. Thank you.
You got it, Tom. You're all set.
I appreciate y'all for your time and efforts. I know it was a late night. Appreciate you seeing me. Take care.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, that is the end of the, well, kind of sort of ended the general meeting. The next items we have on our deliberations and possible decisions with the following. Proposed amendments to the Darien zoning regulations, COZR number 5-2021, put forth by the Darien Planning and Zoning Commission. This is the proposal to eliminate the minimum square footage inside our zoning codes today. So we do have a new zoning resolution. I read it. I think I found a typo. Yeah. On page 3, Jeremy,
Yes?
in the middle of the page, it says section 500. I think that's supposed to say section 504.
I think you're correct. Let me just double check that. Good catch.
Because at the beginning, it says section 504 is changing.
Get the book out.
And then
You're
underneath,
correct, section 504. Yep.
okay,
So we'll change that on page 3.
yep. Is there something else? No, that's the only typo. That was cool. All right. So I think we're just eliminating the 600 square foot minimum that we don't really comply to anyway.
Right, that's part of what came out of House Bill 6107, which is the Public Act, that the commission cannot have these types of minimum apartment sizes. So we were a little bit ahead of the game, and this will get us for those zoning districts in compliance. We still have to figure out how to deal with the Leroy West District, but we'll do that probably over the summer and September.
That's fantastic. Any questions on this? I think this is another way to be able to diversify our housing throughout town. If anyone wants to propose small units such as studios like that maybe have a lower gross rent, this actually lets you facilitate it. Comments on the typos?
Well, I just, sorry, it's Kara Gately speaking. I think it was great when you sort of gave the examples of garden homes and how they're affordable, not by getting into, some sort of statutory or kind of regulatory formula and, having these ones designated. It's because of the square footage and they're at market rate, but they're affordable because of the size. So I think this is a really smart, market-driven way to diversify housing, like you said, and, give people more options. And yeah, I think it's great.
Well said. Very well said, Kara. Thank you for chiming in. Anybody else have any comments on this one? Everyone good? Okay, that's it. With that said, I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution as edited. Is that what we usually call it?
As amended. Yeah.
As amended. We just changed one typo. George Riley, you want to make that motion? George Riley? And then Larry Warble makes a second. All's in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kara. All right. Fantastic. All right, that's done. Next item up we have, it's another zoning text change amendment. Where are we? Proposed amendments to the Darien zoning regulations, COZR number 1-2020, put forth by Parklands Darien LLC. I'm not going to read the rest, right?
Right.
This is, we're going to add a proposal to add a new section to the zoning code to allow for less design office multifamily in design office districts. I think I found something on here too.
Right,
Yeah.
this was a little more interesting in terms of the new zoning district proposed, and the other aspect that they talked about was parking. And so the proposed draft resolution was the commission's adopting this new zoning district, listing it in the regulations, but denying the parking change. And one of the reasons for that is the commission already has its own proposal, which you'll be acting on within the next month or so. So it gives you a little more time to deliberate on that proposal, and the fact that there's a public act that goes into effect soon anyways. So there's a lot of different aspects for the parking, but at least this resolution deals with the new zone, gets that moved along, and parking will be taken care of as part of a separate decision.
Right, so we'll deal with parking. We already deliberated once or twice.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do it one more time.
Again tonight.
Question, on page 5, it says section 311 adopted solely to list and identify newly created overlay zone.
Right.
Is that table of contents or something?
Right, there's not only the table of contents, but there's a section of the regulations, section 311. And basically it's called zoning classifications. And it's a listing in the zoning regulations of every district in town. And I think when I talked with Mr. Flaherty about this proposal 6-8 months ago, it was just something that we forgot to officially put this in that list.
Okay.
It doesn't make a difference, frankly.
Okay.
We can do it later on, but I figured, you know what?
Do it now.
It doesn't change anything from a substance.
Right.
It's more procedural to say, you know what, just list the zones. Same thing, the zoning map behind me over here, we'll add it to the list.
This one,
Yeah.
that one too. What else? Can we just do one thing on page 2? It says, at the first hearing on the matter, one of the property owners, Jerry Nielsen, spoke in favor of the proposal instead of project. Very last sentence on page 2.
Oh, yes, spoke in favor of the proposal. You're correct. It's not a
Okay.
project at this point.
And then it comes up later. Can we just say Thorndale Circle or the Thorndale Circle property?
Properties?
Yeah, I would call it Thorndale Circle.
I
Is
call
it
it office
owners
park
of-
on page 2.
Of Thorndale Circle Office Park, which is the chart right above it. See the table right above it? Oakings Highway, South Tokenique Road, 9 acres, Thorndale Circle Office Park, 12+ acres.
Yes,
So say Jerry Nielsen, owner of Thorndale Circle Office Park.
owner, right, spoke in favor.
Yeah, of the proposal.
Got it.
Okay. I think we already explained that thing. One last item on the last page where it talks about common areas, right here. Is a laundry room considered finished? So you can put,
Yes.
so we can put a laundry room in there, right?
Yes.
Do we want to add that, or does it matter?
No, I think that's.
Common
we would
areas.
Treat that.
It's part of common areas.
Common areas, because it's finished space, it'll have electrical outlets, it'll have lights,
Okay.
it'll have finished. So, yeah, we would consider that a common,
Okay, everybody get that? I'm just saying, in the basement, a lot of apartments have laundry rooms. So on the last item where we changed where it talks common areas, laundry rooms, common areas is a catch-all and would include a laundry room. That's it. Any other questions, comments, typos, scrivener's errors on this one? No, with that said, I would entertain a motion to approve as amended. Jen Leahy made the motion. George, you want to second that one? George Riley makes a second. All those in favor? And Kara Gately said aye.
No, Kara Gately has to be recused from this one.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kara.
No worries.
Why you muted? Got it. Thank you. All right, fantastic. This is another thing that diversifies Darien's housing stock. Thank you, everybody. It is now 10 o'clock. Okay, well, I want to ask you if we can punt the minutes if you don't get.
We should probably do some of them. Have you, I mean,
Yeah, I know. There's 6 pairs. The next up is, we put back on here deliberations only for the following, which is the parking or zoning change, and the other item was the 12% to 14% in the cleanup. We extended this for another week because I think some commissioners were missing at our last meeting. So we can go through these again. Is anyone that was missing from the last meeting, are they still missing from this meeting? Like Jim
Jim
Rand?
Rand, does this, want to do the inclusionary tonight? And then do
The 12%?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. We don't have to kick parking. I'm ready to go on parking.
It's up to you guys.
All right, let's do the first one first. You're right. Okay, so I'm gonna read the next one. We're gonna skip around a little bit. It's proposed amendments to Darien zoning regulation CRZR number 4-2020 put forth by the Darien Planning and Zoning Commission. This is the proposed amendment to our zoning code for two items. One is to change the inclusionary housing percentage from 12% to 14%. The other item we're going to change is to call it affordable units to affordable housing units, right? Or those to below market rate units. It's really just semantics to make it consistent across the platform. And then the other item is that we're going to just identify or codify that it would trigger if 4 units or more would trigger the zoning clarify. It triggers it already, but we're going to clarify that that's when you have to do inclusionary housing. Okay. Any other questions, comments, thoughts on this one? At the end of the day, with the going from 12% to 14%, we're going to pick up a few units here or there. If we don't pick up a few units, maybe we'll pick up a few dollars. If it's a stub unit, is what I call it, on a percentage basis. And it again expands our affordable housing stock in the town of Darien and diversifies our housing.
One thing we talked about during the hearing process was the effective date. Commission's in favor of these changes. We could have something drafted for the July 13th meeting. The question is, when would we could have it go into effect? Have a draft resolution to vote on in July, have it take effect in mid to late August? Would that work for the commission, or do you want to push that out even further?
When are we doing the other one? I was going to do them all October 1st is what I was thinking.
October 1st, we can draft it up.
Okay.
Usually we do it on a
well, whatever
weekend,
yeah.
but on or about October 1st.
Okay.
We can do that if that's okay with the commission. It would be October 3rd.
Okay, that's when all the other zoning changes are kicking in, right? The
Okay.
statewide ones. All that stuff's October 1st. Is that okay with everybody else?
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yes.
You can do to add.
That makes sense.
We're gonna keep it consistently consistent. Any other comments on that one? All right. Do you guys want to talk about parking for a minute? Is that a more serious discussion? Want to go for another time? The last proposal on the table was, but I did my other one.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Was the proposal on the table that was the last comment on the item was parking spaces would be for a studio apartment, 1 space, for a 1-bedroom, 1.5 spaces, for a 2-bedroom, 2 spaces, and for a 3-bedroom plus would be 2.5 spaces. That's where we last left it, which is a little bit, it's more parking than the state house bill, which is under consideration. It reduces the parking that's existing regulations, and it's a little bit less. Actually, it's a little bit less than the Parklands proposal, but it's also consistent with what Craig Flaherty proposal, who is a private citizen that put in one, but he's also a professional engineer and land planner. Me personally, I don't want to go that low because people like Avalon, if you ever drive through there, they do have a lot of parking, and it always seems to be full when I'm there. They also do make money on parking when they rent them out in garages to other people. The other item is that these other extra, 0.5 spaces also counts for guest parking. The only item we thought about was, is there any loading space provision in our code in a different spot?
No, we have loading zone provisions are section 909. But when we think of loading zones in the regs, traditionally we've thought of, the truck coming to load or unload,
Amazon.
not so much Amazon or FedEx, but more of a food delivery truck or a Whole Foods loading zone type thing. When this was designed, it talks about off-street loading and unloading for retail and service businesses, for other commercial establishments, but it doesn't really talk about, I guess the closest is section 909C, talks about reasonable and appropriate off-street loading requirements for structures and land uses which do not fall within the categories listed above, which are retail, service business, restaurant, commercial establishments, shall be determined in each case by the commission, which shall consider all factors entering into the loading and unloading needs of such use. So
See,
Whether you consider it like a loading dock or
Yeah.
more of a FedEx space. mm,
Because what we've done in the last major application we looked at is we always have to make sure there's a spot for, if it's a, say it's a 5-story apartment building. You can get their furniture in and out the house when you order the new couch, from Raymore and Flanagan, that the truck can go someplace and you can move into the building. Also nowadays, we did a whole discussion with regards to David Genovese's project with loading. We did a whole discussion. We redesigned it actually for the Palmer site because they had loading in the street. We also did it for Maplewood, which never got done
Which
anyway.
is common sense.
And we also did it
Maplewood
with,
had the situation where people were
Right.
parking on Brookside Road or the Post Road.
right. And then we also did it again with Federal. So most architects today will design in loading zones, but that is really a different from section 6. Yes, Jen, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. So yes, I'm obviously interested in loading zones to see if they're included or not. My thing is, what's our blend? Like his kind of all over. I think Jeremy may have compiled this at some point. Like we probably don't have that many studios, but do we have a lot of 1 beds? Because then I'd be more apt to say we probably should do a 1.5, right? Because those 1 beds, if that's the majority of what we're doing, and they have friends coming, like you're talking about, guest parking, then I'm more concerned on that. You know what I mean? Like what does the blends look like in Darien? Because I don't think we need to, like, do we do a 2.5 for a 3-bedroom? Because
But
maybe
that's the proposal on the table is 2.5 for a 3-bedroom and 1.5 for a 1-bedroom.
right. So but is that what it is? Is that our blends, that we have a lot of 1s and 3s? Like I'm wondering, where did we, like, it makes sense to me logically, but do we know where we stack as far as like
It's very few 3-bedrooms. I think Avalon is the only place that has 3-bedroom apartments. Kensett is a little different product. It's more of a condominium. So those are not really, when you consider apartments, most of them are 1 and 2 bedrooms.
Okay.
Garden Homes has some studios, but if you think of Avalon, it's 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. Federal Realty is 1 and 2s.
But Alan O'Neill, the Heights.
Yeah, or the Royal at Darien is 1s.
But that's seniors.
Senior. So very few 3 bedrooms, to be honest, Jen. It's I think what most, and I don't want to speak for most builders, but the sense is you might get more money building a 1 and a 2 than 1 3-bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, the sweet spot for developers today are 1-bedrooms and 2-bedrooms.
right. So
On the 1-bedrooms, we have 1.5 spaces, and on 2-bedrooms, we have 2 spaces.
right, that's fine. Yeah, I guess, I mean, okay.
Okay. So we can write it up, right? And then if we want to switch it, we can amend it again.
So
Once it's
you're
written.
saying studio would be 1 space,
Yep,
1 bedroom, 1.5,
correct,
2-bedroom, 2, and a 3-bedroom, 2.5.
correct.
Now, if the commission were to adopt that, though, you would then have to formally take a vote to opt out of the new state law, Public Act 21-29,
Correct.
which requires 1 parking space for studio and 1 bedrooms, and 2 for 2 and 3+. So
Correct.
what we would do is put together this decision, and the commission would vote on the decision and the opt-out. I think our goal, I talked to Wayne Fox earlier today about what is the proper procedure for opting out of this new public act. It would need approval from both the Planning and Zoning Commission and the legislative body, which is the RTM.
Great.
I did speak to first Amy Stevenson, and I think the inclination was also to present it to the Board of Selectmen sometime in early August to also build consensus and everyone understands what's going on as we aim to go to the RTM in September, such that it is in place for October. I think that's the time frame we were looking at. So we'll get started on that if that's the sense of the commission.
Okay, everyone okay with that?
What do the lawyers think? If we're opting out of something from the state, I mean, in the
Yeah, that's a good question, Jennifer. I did speak to Wayne Fox about that. Certainly, everything at the state level takes effect in October, so there is some urgency. And Wayne and I discussed the pros and cons to opting out. Certainly, the commission understands Darien better than anybody else, and the situations we deal with here relative to our streets and how many people drive and things like that. And I think Wayne and I agree that certainly it's important for the commission to justify the decision. So when folks in other towns and organizations look at Darien and say, boy, they opted out, we can at least explain the rationale, why that was done, why we felt it was important to do that. And it wouldn't prevent the commission from changing it in the future, but at least it could justify why you were making this change for the time being and not simply going ahead and de facto taking on what the state is basically requiring. And I think Wayne and I were somewhat concerned about the fact that if it's not well justified, and even if it is well justified, there may be some criticism coming our way. But we believe, based upon a number of sessions we've gone to, and I know Jamie Stevenson's gone to a number of sessions and newspaper articles, that we're kind of in the firing line anyways. So I think what we have to do is do what we believe is the right thing relative to what works. And it would not stop us from, in a year or 2 or 3, revisiting and saying, maybe there's a way to go even lower, or figure out a way to account for other things. But I think if this reflects what the 5 commission members tonight want, and Jim Rand, when he rejoins the commission in July for the next meeting, we can put together a proposal and justify the opt-out and proceed on to the Board of Selectmen and RTM to also see if they, especially the RTM, that we can get the required vote of the RTM in September.
At the end of the day, the opt-out provision gives town of Darien flexibility. You can opt out and still make it 1 or 2, but we've had this discussion relative to parking for years and years and years, saying that we need more parking, especially downtown, and more parking at this spot. You know, 1 parking space for a 1-bedroom apartment, you know, I don't necessarily think that works for our town. I don't think it's enough. I also don't think, you know, a 3-bedroom apartment, you know, is got 2 parking spaces enough for that. I mean, this summer I might have 4 cars, and I got a 4-bedroom house, so I got 5 drivers. You know, we have to look out for that stuff. Plus, we don't have any overnight parking on our streets. When it comes to a snowstorm, you can't put your car in the Bell Street garage like you can in Stanford and have free overnight parking. You can't put your car in the, you know, Stanford Mall when they're shoveling the streets. Other municipalities that they do have parking garages, you can't park in your street. They tell you to go to, you know, a structured parking garage that's owned by the municipality. We can't even go to our own train stations because those get plowed. You can't go to your schools. Your schools get plowed. There's no place you can store it. So you don't want them to be on the streets. That's why I think, you know, 1 for a studio, 1.5 for a 1-bedroom, 2 for a 2-bedroom, and 2.5 for a 3-bedroom. I think it works for us. It is a big change from what we have now, because now we're 2.5 across everything. So we're really dropping down the parking a lot for our town. But we're creating a buffer for us for flexibility to be able to have more parking where we see fit.
But so I agree, right? It makes sense. But if a builder or a developer comes to us, you know, whatever, we have the ability to change it later. I'm just saying now they're,
Right.
you know, hot seat. So I just see like someone's coming, they're like, that's so nice, but we're going to follow what the state says. So we deny them, and then we have, you know, months of a lawsuit and financial.
Yeah. The only thing you gotta recognize too is Kensett is tight in terms of parking. But each of those places have a garage. But most cars are not in those garages because that's where the cross sticks and the bicycles and the hockey equipment is. Most of our projects in town are mixed use. And in the world today, everything lands up being mixed use, so there's a shared parking. So we're gonna review it anyway.
Yeah.
There's not, I can't really think of one that's not shared. And I mean, there's probably a piece of dirt in this town that could be a straight apartment building. But the developers that I know want more parking than the state left, than what's the state saying. And they will build more. They don't want to build 2.5 for a 1-bedroom. I can tell you that. They don't want to build 2.5 for a studio. But for a 2-bedroom, they're at least going to build 2. And for a 1-bedroom, they're at least going to build 1.5.
Yep.
Because usually in most apartment buildings, the first parking space is free. The second one you got to pay for.
Right.
And that's another revenue source. And if you don't have them, you can't get it. Okay. So you'll write that one up too?
Yeah.
I just, two quick things on my little mind. One is, do I understand we would have to opt out of the new statute even before the new statute takes effect?
That's the way it's set up. I don't know what the timing dates are yet, but if we want to opt out of parking, we have to opt out of parking prior to October 1st. I read it once already, but I got to read it again. And then if we want to opt out of the ADU, we have to opt out of that also at another point in time. But as we had our special meeting last week, for both of those provisions, if we want to opt out, we have to state our reasons why we're opting out and make that argument. That's we have a lawyer on the commission to help making arguments.
That gives me some pause because I think it's going to be a very high standard to satisfy. And to be arguing that we need a half of a parking spot more than the state says we do for a 1-bedroom and a half a lot more for a 3+ bedroom than the state says. I'm gonna reserve on that. I want to think about that more. So,
but I don't know I don't know if you're arguing to the state or not.
Well, I'm comparing to the state. Oh, and the opt-out. Yeah, I don't know who we're arguing with. I don't know who we have to satisfy.
You have to state your reasons why you're opting out. You can state your reasons why you're opting out. I think the judge and jury, the first layer in our town, may be the Board of Selectmen and see if they agree with us, and then the second layer is going to be the RTM. So if the RTM, if we said we want, 1.5, 2, and 2.5, and the RTM votes against us, then they vote against us. Then I think it fails. If we say 1, 1.5, and 2, and these are the reasons why, and we pass it, I don't know who's going to chase us down. I never saw that. States get all your reasons are bad.
But as you were saying, you think builders would already be on a 1-bedroom would already want 1.5 spots, and 3+ will already want 2.5. So for us to go to the trouble of mandating 2.5 and opting out, may be more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah, me personally, I want to leave the flexibility. Because I want to make sure that we're flexible in what we can do in town. And if you opt out of that provision, it gives you local control and it gives you flexibility.
Yeah, I definitely favor that. I like that.
Surprised. Sorry.
Go ahead, Larry. I'm sorry.
I didn't want to interrupt George.
Oh, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to surprise anyone to hear me say that. I think it's better for us to have more flexibility over our own town, and I would lean heavily towards opting out on all of these provisions and then doing. I think what we want to do is very close to what those provisions are, but it just makes more sense to maintain as much local control as possible because we never know what changes are going to happen down the pike.
Yeah, I mean, I think the House and the Senate or the House put in the opt-out provisions because it's a good idea. If they were set in stone on their feet, they wouldn't have put in those opt-out provisions.
I wish I felt the same.
Okay. All right. We good on that?
Okay.
Thank you. Very Chairman, I read up that one. The chairman's report. You want to look at the minutes first to get a couple out of the way? One of them's really short. I read 2 out of 4.
Whichever one you want to go through. Fred and I think we're trying to get as many on, because whatever we don't get to tonight, we have 2 or 3 other sets for July 13th. So whatever we can get to tonight would be great.
The only thing on the chairman's report that I wanted to say is, as you know, that and I don't know the recreational cannabis bill was passed. The last time that came up, when it was medical marijuana, we did a moratorium. So, because there's 2 things in town. There's 2 pieces of that one. I don't know the new law, but the medical marijuana had a growing piece and a dispensary piece. We opted out. We did a moratorium on both of them, so we effectively opted up having those here. Relative to the growing piece, there's no industrial zones in Darien, and you have to grow inside an industrial zone, so that really didn't matter. And on the other piece, we opted out of it and got a moratorium after we consulted with the police department and some other items. So eventually that might hit us again. So just in your own minds and your own time, just think about it on what you want to do relative to that. I don't necessarily think we need to have those in town either, but that could be a discussion for another day in the formal aspect. Okay. Minutes. Can we go with the shortest one first?
Sure, that would be last week, June 15th, a special meeting.
June 15th, there was minutes. It's a page and a half. Just talks about the special meeting. I didn't see any typos, comments. Anybody else any typos, comments, scrivener's errors? Okay, with that said, entertain a motion to approve as submitted. Jen makes the motion. Looking for a second. George, Larry gives me a second. All those in favor?
450. Got it.
Great, done. The next one that I read, this one's kind of easy. Yeah, the next one that I read that was kind of easy is April 27th. It's the proposed, we're talking about parklands. And then that was the only thing on here, and the rest of the stuff is, a lot of it is what we did, the Darien Place, the taco bar place, and then the rest of it, a lot of it is just resolutions. And we can't change that stuff anyway.
This is April 27th.
April 27th. I didn't find anything wrong in that one at all.
This is the one where George Riley was not present.
George Riley was out, right? Okay. Any
I
questions?
was not part of the Darien Place, right?
Any questions, comments, scrivener's errors, typos in that one? April 27th? Can I get a motion to approve as submitted? Ken makes a motion to approve. Looking for a second. Karen Gately's got a second. All those in favor?
1, 2, 4-0. Thank you.
4-0. George just doesn't count, right?
Got it.
So
that's April 27th. Good.
the next one, one of these is got a typo on it. This one. No. The next one that I looked at was May 4th, 2021. It's when the Board of Education asked to use the basement space inside 35 Leroy. Then it was our first night with Peach Hill. And then we deliberated parking. We talked about that and where it was going to go. And then we deliberated the 12% to 14%, the housing that goes away. The one that I liked about this, that's what it was. On page 4, I appreciate how you put in there that the gentleman, when we talked about the 7-Eleven, the commission reviewed the draft resolution provided by staff of the proposed amendments page by page, finding by finding. I think that was important.
Bottom of page 4?
It's a minimum page 5. So that's exactly what we did. Page by page, finding by finding. Okay. Questions, comments, Scrivener's errors on May 4th? Anybody? I'm doing the same thing, Jen. I'm standing on my computer too long. Looking for a motion to approve as submitted. Kara Gately, seconded by Jennifer Leahy. All in favor?
4-0, George Riley abstaining.
George, are you abstaining on that one?
Got it?
Yeah, I wasn't there.
So those, all three were as written.
Yep, as written.
Got it?
Then I didn't get to the next set of three.
Okay, we can pick those to next week.
I didn't get to May 11th, May 18th, and June 1st.
Got them. We'll put those on for July 13th meeting.
All right, okay. Okay, 10:14. Any other business? 2/3 vote? Nothing, we're not gonna take any votes, no other business. Our next meeting is July 13th and July 20th. July 13th is after the 4th of July.
Right,
That's
we
2
get
weeks after.
2 weeks off.
Count that, 2 weeks off. Go away on vacation.
I'll miss you guys.
July 4th. Okay, then anything special? No, we'll get it.
No, we'll meet 3 times in July, the 13th, the 20th, and the 27th. They'll all be pretty full nights. And if we do it right, we'll be able to also get a month off in August.
All right, so the goal is to work hard on July 13th, July 20th, July 27th, and then we'll see you all in September. Okay, so if we do 3 good meetings, we get the month of August off. That said, looking for a motion to adjourn. Jen smiling. There you go. Oh, Kara beat you to it. Looking for a second. A second by Jen. All's in favor? All right, good night, folks.
This conference is no longer being recorded.